All right, everyone. It is time for the Texie Talk virtual showcase. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just getting used to being here on screen. I am in the New York area. So, for any of you who might be in this area, you probably know that it is about 5 billion degrees here. So, I got the hair up. Really excited to see so many of you. I want to make sure you can hear me. I see lots of you live and watching. So, please make a little comment. Let me know that you can hear me for sure. And I also want to see where you guys are listening in from. I know we have not only people here in the New York area, but we have a global audience. So I'm really excited to see where everyone is watching from. So put that into the notes. I see Michael is here. I see we have Ada from Florida. We have a Facebook user saying greetings from DC. Just as a reminder, when I put your comments up here, or this might be new for some of you who have never used the StreamYard platform before, when I put your comments up here, if it says Facebook user, all you have to do is go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give us some access to see your picture and your name, because we want to see all your beautiful faces. I see so many comments coming in. Love to see all of you guys here. We have Toronto, Kansas City. We have the DC area. I'm seeing Raleigh. I see Rohit is joining us. Rohit is joining us from India. Deborah, these are coming in so fast I can't click on them all. So make sure you're checking out the feed. This is really exciting. For me, this is kind of like going back to early June when we did the Pivot Virtual Summit using the same platform. And even though for me, I am looking at the same screen, which is just a big screen of my face, I get to see all of your comments coming in and all of the engagement. And this just reminds me of all the fun that we had just about a month ago. So I really want to thank all of you guys for joining. I'm looking at all these comments coming in and really excited to talk today about virtual platforms. As all of you know, the virtual landscape has not only has it become mandatory for almost all events around the world, but it has just started to become embraced. I don't know about you, but I want to share that virtual events are not new. This is not something that has never existed before March. I have been doing virtual events. I remember I did my first hybrid event in 2011, I believe it was, maybe late 2010. And it was really an exciting time. However, over the years, there have been a lot of times that I'll share, with a client that we should do a hybrid component or a virtual component. And sometimes they're not so interested. It's kind of like, we have this great live in-person event. Why would we bother adding this other headache? But I think what's really exciting about the time that we live in right now is that we are pushing the boundaries here. We have no choice but to do virtual. And so whether you are an event planner who is just learning this for the very first time and you're looking to find out what are the platforms out there, or I would say even for those of us who have been doing virtual for a really long time, this is all new, uncharted territory. So a lot of the companies that you're going to hear from today are new. Maybe they've been doing stuff in the technology space in the events industry for a long time, but virtual is new. Maybe virtual has been a component for a long time. So you'll hear a little bit from each of them, but I'm really excited to share some different platforms. Since I know that we have so many planners who are listening who may be looking at technology platforms for the very first time, I just want to take a few seconds, maybe even a few minutes, and talk a little bit about why we're doing this and how you can approach this as a planner. And I'm going to go through a few little rules, as I call them, for the speakers and some rules also for attendees. But before we get there, the format of this event is super simple. You're not going to have to hear me talk, but you're also not going to have to sit through 8 different 1-hour-long demos. As we know, as planners, that is typically what we do. We know that our clients want to do a virtual event, so we go out, we scour the internet, we ask everyone that we know, what are the best virtual platforms out there? And a lot of times from their websites or even from things we hear from other planners, it's a little bit difficult to figure out what exactly each platform does, why it's so great for what I do. And so we end up sitting through hour demo after hour demo. I've done more of these than you can imagine in my career. I've done more of these than you can imagine in the last few weeks, because as I said, this technology is constantly evolving. And what we need to do as planners, first of all, don't forget what we do. I know a lot of times the virtual piece adds this uncertainty and makes us feel like we're not experts at this. But at the end of the day, we are still really great, smart, strategic event planners. And so we go back to the way we would plan an in-person event. We look at our goals. We think about what it is that we're trying to achieve. We don't just take what we were going to do in person and shove it into a virtual environment and try to make everything happen. We think about the bigger things we're trying to achieve, and then we can get creative. And all of those things are things that we as planners thrive. We love to do that. We love to take a look at our goals and be creative. The tech piece is really that piece that I think a lot of planners these days are feeling overwhelmed by, and therefore feel like I just can't do virtual. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are some amazing platforms out there. Again, I've spent way too much time in the past few months seeing everything that's out there. They're great platforms. They allow us to do all kinds of things. And in addition to that, you will see that there is just there is a lot of support. The people who are behind the tech companies, whether they're the 8 that we're talking to today or the other hundreds, quite honestly, that are out there, they want you to be successful. They understand that this is new for you. And so if you can focus on what you know best, which are your goals, and evaluating and being creative and thinking about how to achieve those goals in new and creative ways, I think you're going to be really, really successful. Don't worry so much about the technology. But to keep this easy for all of you, here's the format for today. It's 10 minutes for each presentation. Each presenter only gets to talk for 10 minutes. This is going to be hard for them. They're used to sitting through 1-hour demos with you too. It's not just the planners who sit through these demos, it's the technology companies as well. And so we want to make sure that they get a chance to really get to know you and get to share their tool with you. So the 3 rules for the speakers: they get 10 minutes to present everything that they have to share with you. And then they're going to have 5 minutes for Q&A. So yes, make sure you guys have your questions ready. Each company has been asked to talk about some major things. What do you do? Very hard to get into, a few minutes because these are pretty robust platforms. We want them to talk about what events are perfect for their platform, what is the best use case of what it is that they have put together, and why they're better than the competition. This is a hard question too to answer, so we're going to ask everyone to do that. And then finally, we want everyone to make sure that we know how to contact them. I don't think a 10-minute demo is really good enough for any of us to figure out if, Convene or VCast or Boomset or whatever is the perfect platform for us, but it is going to give you enough of a sense of which are the ones that we want to, start to learn more about. So you watch these 8, hopefully you can narrow it down to 2 or 3 amazing ones that you think are really going to fit what you need. And then you can kind of go deeper. So you do want to contact these companies when everything is done. I see a few questions coming in as well. So we will have a few seconds before we go live. If you have any questions about how it's going down today, please let me know, because once we start, it's pretty fast paced. So we'll just keep rolling here. The 3 rules for attendees. First of all, ask all your questions. All of the companies have people who are in the chat. So if there is something that they can't get to on the screen, whether it's during their session or after, we'll make sure that we get to as many questions as we possibly can. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of the same questions. And so I'll do my best to curate the Q&A and really bring on things that I think would apply to the majority of us or things that I'm seeing over and over again. But certainly if we don't get to it in 5 minutes, which is very possible, we'll try to get to them in the chat. So make sure you put them right there. Also, again, you're going to want to contact a few of your favorite companies directly. Make sure you get those full demos and really figure out how it works for you. And this is a totally free program. It is available for anyone to watch. So if you want to take a second and just invite people to join the group, we will let them in as soon as possible. And that way they can kind of check out what's happening here, and definitely share your favorites using the hashtag TexieTalk. You can use that on any social platform and Eventprops. So let's see here. I do see a few quick questions. I know Convene is all queued up and ready to go, so I don't want to slow them down. We will not go into your time, I promise. But let me just answer a few quick questions here. See amazing people here. John wants to know, how were the 8 chosen? So the 8 that are presenting today were chosen from a combination of things. One is definitely my kind of stamp of this is very interesting. So there are, as I mentioned, hundreds of event professionals out there and virtual platforms. I'm sorry, there are hundreds out there. I've looked at a lot, and there are a lot that are not so great. I won't name names right now, but there are plenty. I'd be happy to give you my thoughts on anything that I've seen in the market. So these 8, the first thought was, I've seen their demos. I see what they're doing. I think that they either are super, super unique or they serve a very unique audience, which is really important. And you'll see more about that in a little while. And then, of course, it's about who's available and who wants to participate. So that's the 8 that you have here today. I do see a bunch of questions about the recording. So yes, this will be available on the videos tab of the Facebook group. You can click at any point and watch this live video. And then as soon as we're over, it's available there as a recording. It is also on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/LizKingEvents. And where else can you see it? Oh, we'll put it on the blog. We'll put it everywhere. So if you or anyone you know would like to catch the recap of this or watch things all over again, it's all available for you. In terms of, I see Nancy's asking, will we be able to connect with them via LinkedIn? I do highly recommend that you connect with everyone at the company level on LinkedIn, and then we'll be sharing names and stuff. Basically, everyone's here. So if you want to make a connection, go ahead and do that in the chat. They can put their URLs in the chat and connect away. I think this is a great way to make those initial connections. All right, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else. It is unfortunately too late to present. I do see one question about that. So we do have our 8 locked and loaded, and these have been reviewed by me, but we'd love to chat about future opportunities. All right, it is 3:12. I promised I would get the ball rolling at 3:10, and I'm almost never late. We do have a ton of comments and questions continuing to come in. I will continue to put them on the screen and kind of manage as much as I possibly can. I would like to, at this point, introduce our first speakers from Convene. I'm going to bring in Phoenix and Rob. Phoenix, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, my screen is way too big. Hold on, I got to fix this around here. All right. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that many people know of Convene as a venue, and so we're really excited to talk to you guys about the virtual solutions that you have. I think anybody who knows me knows I am a huge fan of Convene, and so you guys were one of the early people that I thought of in terms of who to talk to. I will hand it over to you, and as promised, you will get your full 10 minutes. So I'll kind of get off screen, drive your slides. You guys give me thumbs up or whatever you need. I'll be right here, but take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz, for being such a convenient.
Oh, I don't hear Phoenix. Hold on.
Can you hear me now? Awesome. Well, thank you for putting on this incredible event, Liz. I'm confident it will be a really great resource. I think we're all trying to navigate this new and uncharted landscape of virtual events. And obviously some folks are a little bit more experienced in that process, but excited to be joining you today. My name is Phoenix Porcelli from Convene. Some of you may know us as an experience platform. You may be familiar with our physical brick and mortar locations, but we're really excited to have pivoted and take that same hospitality and technology that we've pioneered in our physical spaces and bring them to virtual events. Convene started 10 years ago, actually, which is crazy to think. Time goes by fast, as a disruptor in the more traditional event venue landscape. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, we build, design, and manage really contemporary event spaces with state-of-the-art technology, world-class culinary offerings, and now have 32 locations, I think, in 6 cities, which is so exciting to see our growth. So we've taken and pivoted that same hospitality expertise to that virtual landscape and are now supporting virtual meetings through our digital event platform and really working with clients to think through what a hybrid meeting solution would look like, leveraging that state-of-the-art technology in conjunction with our physical spaces. Technology has always been our core for those who are familiar with us and have hosted events in our spaces and been longtime fans. And in light of the pandemic, we're now offering that same proprietary event platform to support strictly virtual events on behalf of our clients. So excited to introduce my colleague Rob here to share a little bit more about our platform functionality and talk through how we can support you in transforming your events. Next slide.
Awesome. Thanks, Phoenix, and thanks, Liz. Hi, everyone. My name's Rob. I'm an implementation manager here at Convene. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our virtual platform and its best uses. So Convene's virtual platform is a fully brandable and secure end-to-end service that provides you with a full spectrum of meeting and events needs. So our functionality includes a robust registration platform, live polling and Q&A, general sessions, tracks, breakout sessions that feature two-way audio and video, exhibitor and sponsorship capability, attendee networking, and an admin portal with extensive data and analytics. So how have we been using it and with whom? So recently we partnered with a large financial services firm to shift their annual client product conference to a virtual event. The CEO was very confident in their keynote presentation. After our virtual meetings, producers provided technology run-throughs with each of the presenters and panelists. Our agenda feature, Q&A, and breakouts provided the functionality the client was looking for to increase engagement. Additionally, a major publishing house approached Convene with the request to shift their 3,000 person quarterly town hall to virtual. So they wanted to ensure that even in these uncertain times, their staff could receive clear and effective communication from the CEO. So reliability in this case was key to ensuring that a global audience could receive the message. So that the simplicity of our platform were deciding factors, along with the comfort of working with experienced audio visual technicians, along with technical directors from start to finish. So that actually leads us to our next slide here. What is it that sets Convene apart? So to quote that publishing house that I mentioned before, they said, with Convene, it really comes down to the people. So we have dedicated teams that work with you from the conception of the event all the way through the run of show. So our production team functions as the main point of contact to ensure that everything runs smoothly. Our implementation team will assist with collecting all of your digital assets, so logos, branding material, and we'll work with you to create a fully branded, customized, white label event site for your event. Our AV team actually meets with all of the presenters and panelists prior to the event to perform a technology run through, and this is to make sure everyone's comfortable with what it looks like to present on the day of the event. So that event is not the first time you've seen the presenter panel. So you'll be comfortable with where all of the media is and how you can even communicate with the technical director throughout the event. So the way it works with the virtual events is for each one, we staff 3 virtual meeting producers. So 1 technical director and 2 audio video operators. So as a team, they'll handle everything from live color correction, video overlays. They'll adjust the streaming quality, broadcast your presentation material so you don't have to share your screen. They'll control all of the video switching. So if you have multiple presenters or a panel, they'll switch between all of those speakers for you. And they'll really provide that white glove support so that everyone feels comfortable on the day of the event. We all know comfortable presenters equals a more engaged audience, especially in this new virtual world that we're in. So that team is physically located in a broadcast command center in one of our Convene properties. And so they stream your event from there on an enterprise grade network. Your tech director is actually in that command center, and they remain in the presenter screen with you during the event to serve as a resource for you. If you have any questions, they can communicate with the presenters, and all of that is not seen by the audience. So think of this very much like a live TV or news broadcast. And so one other thing that sets us apart from the competition, as Phoenix mentioned, we've been doing physical meetings in our spaces for over 10 years. So we also offer a hybrid solution. So we leverage our own premium meeting and event spaces to blend that in-person component with the virtual audience. So I'm going to flip it back over to Phoenix to take it from there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. And I think we're all realizing that virtual events are an important part of programming for the foreseeable future. Liz, if you wouldn't mind taking us to the next slide. I know people are getting anxious to get back to meetings in person. I'm sure all of us are and would love to be engaging with each other at one of our beautiful Convene spaces today. Once local restrictions are lifted, we want to make sure that the attendees feel really comfortable and safe to return to physical spaces. And we know that premium is synonymous with safe. So the future will look like some sort of hybrid model so that we can continue to engage with each other digitally, but bring people together when they're comfortable and safe to do that. We've partnered with Eden Health and Ron Klain, who is actually a Obama's Ebola specialist, to certify our locations and make them the safest and cleanest spaces possible with new cleaning standards, temperature checks. We've completely reimagined our food and beverage program, although we still have Nourish. I know people were very sad to hear that Nourish may go away. So that new food and beverage offering takes more of a bento box approach or a plated meal approach to kind of reimagine how food and beverage will look like within our space. And as you're selecting a digital platform, it's important that that digital platform is built for the future of hybrid events. And we are the only digital event platform that actually owns and manages physical locations in conjunction with this great digital robust platform that Rob's talked us through. We also have those really fantastic state-of-the-art broadcasting studios that Rob mentioned in our physical location. So a hybrid event for the foreseeable future may look like more of a broadcasting studio or bringing panelists and presenters to a physical space to make sure that they have the most premium technology available. Our spaces include that seamless technology built into our physical environment and integrates with our digital platform to create a really reliable and safe solution to support both virtual and hybrid events that maybe we can get back to physical spaces. So excited to have shared a little bit more with you today, but as Liz mentioned, would love to bring you and your teams through a demo of our platform and talk through how we can support your events, whether it's a strictly virtual event or a hybrid solution in the future. So feel free to reach out. Next slide has our contact information and would love to chat with more of you on how we can take your events to the digital world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing at time management. That was exactly 10 minutes. We can take questions from anyone who's watching, so you can go ahead and put those in the comment thread. And by the way, this is streaming to 2 different Facebook groups as well as on YouTube. So wherever you're watching, you can put the comments there. We'll be able to pull them all in together. Let's see. We have some comments. I know someone mentioned they missed the Nourish bar. Rob, sorry about your face here. Hold on.
That's okay. I missed the Nourish bar too.
This is why we need people like you, because this is a lot managing over here. This Facebook user says, Convene is doing fabulous. Phoenix and Rob, you're so knowledgeable. They have a professional crush on Ryan and Chris since Century Centers. I remember those days.
We'll make sure we report that back to them. I'm sure their fan base is expanding.
I will admit that the Texty Talk team calls Chris Kelly Superman because he does kind of look like
he actually does have an uncanny resemblance. Exactly. That's so true.
All right, getting lots of questions here. So where does pricing start, or average price, starter packages? What are we looking at pricing wise?
Yeah, absolutely. Our pricing is done not dissimilarly to our physical spaces. We think of things in packages. So our kind of most basic streamlined package kind of starts around $5,000 or so and scales up depending on the scope of the event, not dissimilar to physical events. So depending on what functionality you need, whether it's multi-track general session, breakout session, chat functionality, networking functionality. But the one thing that is obviously consistent is that service and support, that rehearsal, and that day of planning, as Rob mentioned, with those 3 folks from our team.
Awesome. And do you have, I see someone asked, I lost the comment, about nonprofit pricing?
We're happy to work with clients. We actually have a really great pilot that we launched in light of the Black Lives Matter movement and are accepting applications depending on the nature of the event. So happy to post that and send that along with you in ways that we can donate our platform so that we can give back to movements that are near and dear to us. So depending on the nature of your nonprofit, yes, happy to work with you on pricing, but also are working on giving away our platform to help support and perpetuate some movements that we feel passionately about.
I love that. That's awesome. What cities are your physical spaces located in? Leslie would like to know.
Absolutely. We have physical locations in Boston, New York, Philly, DC, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and are opening next year in London. So near and far. And I think we are excited to have so many physical locations to provide that opportunity for panelists and presenters, no matter where they're located. I know we talked about working with Liz on a hybrid event spanning across multiple markets, and I think a lot of people are trying to get creative in how they can bring people to physical locations, even if they're not in the actual city of the event. So providing a more safer regional networked experience.
So that might have been a sneak peek to other things coming from the Texi Talk brand. I'm very excited. I do think the hybrid model, the idea of being able to bring a smaller group of people in person and then really, use the live streaming components, I think is really interesting in these times. I think we are currently, a lot of people are focused on virtual, but hybrid, I think, is definitely going to be our key to getting back to in-person in full before we can have thousands and thousands of people. That's just my little comment as I go through these questions. One question is about like concurrent sessions, breakout rooms. How does all of that work on your platform?
Rob, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we support breakout rooms. So you can go from the main session into a two-way interactive breakout. So you'll see yourself, you'll see the people talking, and you can have many concurrent breakout rooms. So the only limit there is we have packages that, as far as how many come with in that bundle, and you could continue to add on more. So.
Got it. And I assume things are brandable to the clients.
Yeah, so one of the questions was, can design match the client's branding? So we will collect all of those assets from you, logos, color codes, and we'll design that site for you. It's completely customized and a white label experience.
Awesome. Let's see here. So many good questions coming in here. Someone, Julie Ann asks, she may have missed it. Are there registration features as part of what you have here?
Yeah, we actually provide the registration from end to end. We leverage Zapier to facilitate if you have a different registration platform like Cvent or a proprietary platform that you want to use /Attendify for your own registration, but we do support registration on our platform as well. So it's a really seamless experience. That also ties back to in-person events. The way we see it is, you have a fever day of and you don't want to join in person. The way that our registration is set up, that it will make it really easy for you to participate, whether it's in person or digital. In the interim, we do have a really seamless virtual experience set up for registration, and then some really robust analytics and data reporting on the back end so that you can export that back into your CRM system, whatever it may be.
Awesome. What about if we want everything live, not pre-recorded? We don't want a lot of pre-recorded content, or maybe we want a mix of both.
Yep. Yes. Sorry, Phoenix.
Yes.
We can definitely handle. We can handle a mix of both. So we can pipe in a pre-recorded video, and we can also do live. Our video operators will handle all of that switching for you. So seamless transitions. And like I said, we have that technical director that's there the whole time, just making sure the pacing of the event is correct, so that we keep the whole agenda on track. Great question.
So this is why demos are an hour long, because there are a billion questions and we're not going to get to them all. I do want to have a few more here though. And if you guys can please jump into the chat when you're done and answer as many as you can. Also, people are looking for the link on your website. If you guys go to texitalk.com/upcoming events, it's not a very fancy title, but if you go to that URL, you'll see all the companies there along with links to all of their websites and a little description. So you can check it out there, but we'll also put it here. Let's see here. Here's a question I think is probably happening a lot. Someone is wanting to know suggested lead time for a project. How quickly can we put a virtual event together, and how does that impact your pricing?
That is the same applies. I think we try to, as much as we can, remain consistent to in-person events. So lead time depends on the complexity of the event. If you're looking at a very basic broadcast, that could take something of a couple days time for us to spin up the website for you. The more complex, the more robust the event, the more breakouts, the more networking, the more exhibitor sponsors, that generally we recommend a 2 to 4 week lead time depending on the complexity of the event.
Awesome.
That's a great question.
And this one I've gotten several times, so I want to make sure we fit this in before we move along. Is it Zoom? Is it your own platform? How is all this being powered?
So the platform is a URL-based proprietary HTML5-based platform. We are currently using a Zoom API for breakouts if you were to book an event with us tomorrow. As of October 1st, Rob, keep me honest, maybe September 1st, it will be proprietary. So that Zoom integration, although it's locally routed, so the same security concerns that may exist in using Zoom that's routed through Russia or China that may exist previously are mitigated with the API that we use. We do currently use the Zoom API, but that's only for, I think, about 1 or 2 more months. And then that will shift to that same proprietary tech.
Perfect. So we are going to be able, sorry, there's a lot of questions. We are going to be able to link to all the PowerPoints. Again, they're going to jump in right after this and answer as many questions as you want. And what I love is that we're definitely seeing a lot of interest. So again, remember, please, to contact each of these companies, get those 1-hour demos. Hold on, let me give you their contact information one more time. Get all that demo, the proper demo, go through all the questions that you have. This is a great starting point. And thank you so much, Phoenix and Rob, for joining us. I definitely value all your production as I am trying to click 5,000 buttons here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
All right. Well, we keep it fast paced here at Techsy Talk. So we are going to move on to our next segment. Our next presenter is a longtime Techsy Talk friend and has been doing some very cool things in the virtual space. If you joined us for the Pivot Virtual Summit from June 1st to the 12th, you saw Donville from VCast join us. Donville, I think your last name is basically your company name at this point. Hold on, too many buttons.
Might as well be Donville VCast, right?
Donville Collins is joining us from VCast, and he did a whole session at Pivot on how he was able to take advice from his clients and launch this virtual solution. You have for a long time been doing video production and your own live streams. And if people want to relive that, we'll make sure they get the link. But Donville, very excited to introduce you officially here today and have you talk about Vert Event Pro and what this does for the events industry.
Awesome. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, everyone. All right, cool. So I'll start my clock. So essentially, thank you all for having me. With our service, VCast and Vert Event Pro, as you said, as Liz said, you can take a look at that. But this service is really a professionally produced live stream video production. It's not new, even though the term virtual events is a really new buzzword, if you will. It's not new to us. We've always been doing live stream video productions, and it was actually the reason why a client actually suggested, why don't you just provide this for us in a way? So the way how we do live streamed video productions is a bit different than how everyone does it. And it's because it's done in a way that a live TV broadcasted event is done. So if you could jump to the next slide for me. Hey Tess, I see some friends here as well. So essentially, the Vert Event Pro and the best uses for it are for these kinds of events. They're pretty much for single stage or single track events. That's the best way that we do our virtual events. And that can be award shows, fundraising galas, corporate events, association events, and any sort of single stage events. And what I mean by that is we're not usually doing breakouts or things of that nature. It's primarily events where it's one thing after the other. And the way we do them, as you sort of would have seen in the slide before, is they're fully branded, fully produced with transitions, graphics, and just looking like what we like to tell clients and people that we're speaking to the first time, what we're replicating is like watching the Grammys or watching any of the big name broadcasted event shows. So essentially that's how we do them. The entire thing is done remotely. We have our team that is controlling the entire show and is doing everything. There's our team and our project managers connect beforehand, go through timelines, get content, get the production and all of those things to really create in most cases, anywhere from 45 to an hour-long show that is really meant to fully engage the attendees you're looking at, and especially for a big part of the type of events that we're usually doing are fundraising galas. We've done a ton of them since the beginning of April, pretty much, and really rebranding what we really call live streaming video production into this what we call Vert Event Pro. We've done roughly about 20 events at this point. Helping majority nonprofits and then other corporate or single stage events as well. So it's really our expertise and something we've always done. Jumping into the next slide, some of the things are how we differentiate ourselves from everyone that's doing it. A lot of people are saying that they do virtual events now, and of course, there are multiple ways to do it, but the way that we do it is it's not a technology platform, and it's not a website and you go there and there's a bunch of management. We do not do registration, things of that nature. We use existing platforms, or we recommend existing platforms to our clients. And essentially what we provide is a video embed a live stream video embed that you can place on any site you want to. So it can be on your website, it can be on an event platform that has registration. There's a ton of them already existing. So essentially, you're not necessarily building anything new and learning anything new. Essentially, what we're doing is how people are watching it is being delivered through our service. So we're usually providing a video embed code where we can stream to that website that is embedded on, or you can stream directly to YouTube or directly to Facebook or Twitter or Vimeo or even on Zoom itself. Or we could do all of them simultaneously. And that's all included in our service, to do them simultaneously or one of them. So it's not essentially a new thing for us, and it doesn't cost us anything additional. So we just package it all together. But it can be with any and all of those things. And then we don't use Zoom as the control platform if we are using that. Zoom is just one of those mechanisms of where it can be distributed. So we use Zoom as a distribution mechanism, and otherwise people can join that. Of course, the upside to that, why everyone loves Zoom so much, is the ability to see everyone that is watching. But outside of that, we don't use Zoom as the control mechanism because it can be a little bit clunky or not as professional or broadcast as the way you may want it to be done. So looking at a bunch of our events, you'll be able to see that it's a fully produced show with transitions, things going into each other, and just really having a nicely polished show that everyone can really be excited about and be behind. So that's one of those things as well. And kind of, if you don't mind, Liz, looking back at the very first slide, you will see some of the looks that we have there, and just a few examples where you can see there, that first event there's a panel there. The second one, there's two people talking, but you can see around that, you can see the design, the look, the feel. We're matching different things about the event. We're matching their branding that is provided, and therefore doing that. So those are examples there, and we have a ton that we can be able to provide to you on request as well. The third thing you'll see there, you can jump back down, and I'm giving Liz a lot of work here. You can jump back down to that slide we were on with differentiations. Is one of the things that where our core is that prior to this, outside of the technologies that we've always developed and services, we've always been a video production company at the core. As you click next, Liz, we have an available video production team for filming and editing content. That's what we do. We've always done a lot since 2006. So we have a full team that can help with creating the content. So one of the things that you will find or run into in a lot of these is that different people, they're using their webcams, their phones, or what have you, and there's different qualities, different ways that it can be given. And if you really want it to feel polished, sometimes that doesn't do so well, even though if with our production team, they can tweak any of those signals that are coming in from a webcam or a phone or what have you. But if you do want it to have well-produced content in your show, that team is right on standby. We all work together to make the event a success and create the content. And then finally, I'll say as well is one of the things that differentiates us from other people are those individual technologies. The way that we connected with Liz and Texi Talk from the very beginning was always based on the proprietary technology that we created for conferences, for fundraisers, for different things of that nature. And the Fundometer, which is a fundraising thermometer technology, which was that third image that you saw in the first slide, is one of our proprietary technologies. For many of the events, if you go there and you see a thermometer that looks like that, and it's coupled with what we call our engagement screen right next to the thermometer, and you can still see names scrolling and names popping up and the thank you and the meter raising in real time or things of that nature. In most cases, if you see that, it's usually us that you're seeing. So if you've seen an event recently, it's likely us that you saw. But essentially, that's one of our proprietary technologies that includes text to give, text to pledge, giving in the platform and things of that nature, and just being really full encompassing and providing a really high-end service and product. So and then prepping for your event and all of the prep work and connecting with our team, there's a lot of that goes into that. As you are, and I'm sure all of you are as event planners, before production, your stomach gets tight and you really get butterflies before that event. For us, when it comes to technology, there's so many things that can go wrong. So for us, we're always super paranoid about the possible technology. So we're over testers. We stream test everything. We test anyone that is going to be live in your show. And of course, it just as mentioned, as Convene does as well, we do hybrids. So in most cases, there's always a hybrid where there are live people and there are recorded content. So, but testing everything, testing all the individuals, every single person, doing a run through, having a run through meeting, doing a dress rehearsal, all of these things are required for us. And one of the things that we do as well is an early stream start. We like to start early with our streams with a countdown, like a 45-minute countdown. And just because you just don't know that you never know what the technologists can do, we rather start early with the countdown and wait 45 minutes for the countdown to be finished. Then we start the show at the advertised time. So that's a big thing for us. And then finally, the last thing I like to talk about, which is not in my slide here, but it's a big thing I usually talk about in my presentations, is there's actually a lot more opportunities with virtual events and these virtual event productions to actually generate sponsorship revenue. We have a ton of experience with that, and many of our events have been generating really much more than we even expected, but we provide them with all the recommendations, from commercial spots to how to create a flipbook digital journal, especially if you usually had one in person. How can you do that online? And there's actually just a lot more opportunities. Some of the events that we did, we were contacted by the sponsors that sponsored the event just to find out if we can do some of their personal events. Companies like Con Edison, which if you're here in New York, that's a major utility company, but there's others as well, but they contacted us and wanting to do their internal event. So that's really big for us. We're happy to be here to present to you. Here's my last slide with our contact information. You can reach us at the website there, VertEventPro, bcast.com, or that number. That's my timer running there.
The timer went off. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, again, you guys are starting to see that part of the selection process of the 8 companies is that they have, components of what they're doing that might be very specific to what you need. Donville has a ton of experience with virtual fundraisers. This is a question that I get all the time, in addition to the fact that they can definitely do, corporate and all kinds of things. Those differentiators are what you guys want to be looking for as you are listening to the different content today, help you kind of pick certain things out. So I'll try to do that as we go along as well. Donville, I'm going to keep your contact information, if you don't mind, up here, but we definitely do have some questions for you. So let's get through here. First of all, Ramon loved your beep. Perfect timing. The planners in the room are very impressed with your exact timing. Let's see here. There's so many questions. Deidre wants to know, does it work on Ustream, or can it be used with Ustream? Yes.
So essentially I'll throw out a technical jargon term here where you may or may not know, anything that receives RTMP video streams, we can send it to all of them, as many as you want simultaneously, or one of them, doesn't matter.
Getting fancy with that technical language. All right, Ramon wants to know, for that big event look, do you recommend green screen and other elements to make everything look, big? I mean, like right now when you're looking at me, I'm in my office. It's pretty clear. I know a lot of the stuff that you're doing with galas and larger events. How do we make it look that way, in addition to the video production quality, which is obviously something we should be paying attention to?
So green screen is one of those things where if you're going to do it, you have to do it right. And being a video production company, we know that well long before this pandemic, is that it's one of those key things, which many of you may not know. If you're using green screen, not only do you need to have good light on yourself, but the green screen itself needs to have a ton of light in order for the technologies, whether it's our professional platform or even a Zoom, to actually key it out well. But more so, if you're going to do it, of course, it needs to be done professionally. But overall, I would also add that in general, people are much, much more forgiving now with seeing content that is out of someone's living room. As long as we're not seeing a messy bed in the background or your kids' toys on the floor, in general, people are very forgiving. And of course, you want that image or the quality of it to be really high end. If you look on the website on that URL that's on the screen, you will see that the demo I did for everyone was actually here in my basement. But the quality of that production is still high level, but I'm clearly at home, or if some of our clients are at their office or where they are, where we can send someone there, or we can use their phone and still provide to them a higher quality. But where they are doesn't matter as much, but yes, you can do that.
Okay, and speaking of that, I did see a question. I'm not seeing it to put it on the screen, but someone was asking if you have studio space that you work with for people who maybe don't want to do it in their home.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our studio space in White Plains if you're using our personal studio, and we can work with studios across the country. We've done them quite a few of our events as well, where we can connect with studios in different locations in general. And that can be for whether it's live, if you want a produced look live, or if you want it pre-recorded. So either way can work. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Someone else is asking, do you have a design and graphics team? I happen to like that your colors really go with the Texie Talk colors, but everyone wants that branded look. Can they rely on your team for that?
Absolutely. That's in-house. We always package that into our service, and it just makes sense because for many of our clients, we got to design the look and feel, as I mentioned in the branding. Also for the funder meter is a big part of that. We're usually asking for design collateral so we can make sure to match that branding, or we could even provide templates that a client can be able to have their design team design themselves. But that's a big deal for all of the service. Yeah, definitely.
Makes a big difference with the entire
Mm-hmm.
stream.
Yeah.
Jen wants to know, is there a Streamer Max, or what is the Streamer Max? Or is there?
If I'm understanding that properly, she's talking about the audience?
That's my guess. Yes, that's my guess. Let us know, Jen, if that's not the.
If she's talking about the audience, it's really unlimited for the most part because it's really restricted to the platform of streaming too. YouTube really doesn't have much of a limit at all. There's Facebook, there's Vimeo, there's Ustream, as was mentioned. There's Zoom. With Zoom, if we're using that as a delivery mechanism, of course, that has a strict limit, I think, of 500 on one plan, and then you can upgrade to 1,000. I think 1,000 is the max. But otherwise than that, all the platforms, the limitation is really based on what the platforms are.
Yeah. Ramon is also asking if you can kind of repeat about, I think this is the fundometer that he's talking about and how that works, how it's all triggered.
So as you imagine, there's a lot that goes into that, but answering that question is the simple way that we always recommend if someone is using our fundometer for a virtual event is text to give, is text to pledge. So someone sends a text message, they receive a reply within a second or two saying, thank you for your $1,000 donation. Here's a link to complete payment. They get led straight to the client's page to make a payment. And not only that, on the fundometer, the visual that people are seeing during your live show, they're looking for their 10 seconds of fame where their name pops up, and then everyone gives a lot more money because they can see their what they're giving. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see if I'm missing any questions. If you guys have any questions, please do put it in. Here's one from Rohit, which I think it depends on the platform is what you're going to say, but how about interaction and engagement while the streaming is happening? Any thoughts around this?
So that's also done primarily either by chatting or as I mentioned, if we're using Zoom as one of those distribution, people can see each other, but we generally don't recommend that their audio is on. So we usually lock that if we're using Zoom. But in wherever they're watching, and all of the platforms like this are like this, except for Zoom, is that it's really primarily chatting is how that interaction can happen. There are also other engagement methods like polling and interactive methods of social media feeds and comments, and bringing that also into the live stream if we want to feature someone's comments and things of that nature. But all of those are also add-ons.
Okay, awesome. And then one question that I wanted to ask you is about this whole production thing, because I'm seeing a lot of it in the world. People are doing these Zoom conferences, and we even have some clients who are like, I'm just good with just everyone going live on Zoom and not. Why should planners be thinking about investing in that higher level of production quality? And what are some, I would love for you to share, totally off the top of your head, some benefits that people would get by taking this care like we would for an in-person event and doing it virtual. Like you said, people are kind of more comfortable with seeing you in your living room. Does that make it okay? And is that really what we should be doing?
So I know there was a couple questions in there.
I know, sorry.
What was the first one?
Why should we be focusing on the production and why? It's all kind of one big messy question.
So primarily, at least in regards to the alternative of Zoom or this, the big reason why you want to use this over Zoom is only if the quality and the production value needs to be there. Zoom is a really great tool, right? I think I use it all day just for meetings, right? But if you want it to really have that polish of how things happen and the transitions and the audio, and especially I think all of you might have experienced by now, Zoom does a pretty tough, and I'm being diplomatic here, but a pretty hard job at video playback. and things of that nature. So you don't want to use it if you're trying to have a nicely smooth, progressed show. But especially if you're trying to just put together something really quick and you want to be able to use this quick tool, especially using something that everyone is used to using, then you should definitely use that. Overall, I would tell you that, we had a client that it was a medical client that they were having their medical conference. They usually have it in person, did it virtual. All the different speakers during the event were from different parts of the world, Israel, Brazil, New York, and all of this was happening. And they really had a hard time pivoting from, they've been using Zoom constantly since this pandemic and then switched over to this. And they didn't understand why they had to do things differently. The time when they understood it was when, after the event was done and all of the people that had seen everything they'd done before was commenting to them that, why didn't we always do it like this? This was the best way to do it. And it's because it's a different perception. So the way how people receive it, it just feels much more polished, put together, and a bit more engaging if you can put it together that way.
Awesome. So I do see additional questions. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing as Convene, just for the sake of time, and kind of pop in to the chat, answer as much as you can. But thank you so much for sharing. And if you guys are interested in learning more about VCast and VertEvent Pro and the Fundometer, here's all their contact info. So thanks, Donville.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Thanks.
All right. So we are moving right along here. And our next guests I'm going to bring them on here while I kind of introduce them. I'm bringing on Gina and Nick. Is that correct, Gina?
It's Janelle. I don't know why the L got cut off.
Oh, Janelle. I thought so. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No problem. Janelle and Nick from Boomset. Boomset has been a company that's been around for many years. You have probably seen them at Texie Talk Live in the past, and they are here to showcase a really cool new virtual event solution. I'm going to let you guys take it over. You have 10 minutes. We're running about 2 minutes late, so we're catching up here. But you get your full 10 minutes, so I'll let you take it from here, and just let me know when to move your slides, please.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Liz. I think we're going to do the old-fashioned thumbs up for slide transitions. So yeah, thanks so much. We're really excited to walk through the highlights of our virtual platform. And just a really quick blurb for those of you that don't know about Boomset. We're an end-to-end event technology provider and service provider. We've been building event technology for the last 10 years. And we worked with customers such as Linux, Johns Hopkins University, HubSpot, Forbes, and we've taken a lot of our combined expertise along with listening to our customers and guidance from industry experts, and we built a complete virtual experience. So what we're going to do next is touch on some of the core features of the platform. And the first is online registration. And this is where it begins for any event, regardless of if it's in person or virtual. Some of our unique differentiators with online registration is a fully branded end-to-end experience, whether you're embedding that into your website or you want to create a separate page for your registration experience. A second point is we don't charge any ticketing fees. It's unlimited registration. So when you're a Boomset client and you want to use our reg, you can really go strong and strategize with your marketing, get the word out there about your event without worrying about incurring a ton of costs. We only charge for the people that come to your event. We call them activations. And then lastly, with registration, our session experience or session selection really sets us apart for attendees to be able to customize their agenda, if you will, and for organizers to set some restrictions, like maybe certain attendees based on their ticket type might only be able to register for specific sessions.
Awesome. So to kind of kick things off in our actual virtual platform, we wanted to build a tool that not only helps with the delivery of content, but also fosters attendee engagement. So if I click play here, you'll have multi-speaker functionality that you'll see, and we offer a lot of engaging tools for your audience that include live chats, Q&A, polling. We can also offer a raise hand functionality that allows the audience to actively engage with the speaker and basically have a more immersive experience as part of that session content. Your speakers will also be able to use our native video tools like you saw in the video in order to broadcast. But if you are familiar with Boomset, you know that we are very integration friendly. So you can also embed third-party video tools or work with RTMP links for any kind of high production streams that you're trying to host. And then, of course, as the event organizer, you are able to offer branded session rooms. And you can kind of use this space to promote ads, maybe enhance the look of your event, or even kind of showcase sponsored sessions and highlight your sponsors. So kind of speaking of sponsors, Nick is going to talk a little bit more about the exhibitor and sponsor capabilities.
And I'll unmute myself, of course. Another core feature is the sponsor and exhibitor engagement section of the platform. We've seen a huge shift as organizers and technologists from, since the pandemic hit, from ticket sales, revenue coming from ticket sales to now exhibitor packages, and selling your exhibitors on the ROI and engagement tools you can offer them in a virtual platform. So, you know, with live events, you have things like lead scanning and branding opportunities throughout the venue, presentations and demo areas for sponsors. So we really thought about that and we incorporated it into the virtual platform. The image on the left actually is a custom page that an exhibitor would design on their own. They could upload a photo here, they could upload a video, links, they can upload a bio about who they are, as well as the booth members that are attending the event. And the core features that they could take advantage of are connecting through chat or video one-to-one with attendees to have a private meeting. They can also set video presentation times or a schedule so that when an attendee goes to that custom page, they can add themselves to those presentation times and be alerted when they start. And also, we reimagined lead capture in the virtual environment. It's an integral part of, you know, any exhibitor's tool set at a live event. You know, they're scanning a QR code or scanning an RFID chip, but we have a way for exhibitors to capture those leads and in real time access that information and be able to act on it while the event's still going on. And then lastly, gamification to incentivize engagement. Similar to sessions in Boomset, you can gamify an exhibitor page by, let's say, adding a point value to that page and letting the attendees know what those points are worth and also how many points they've accrued and also where they need to go next or how many more booths they have to visit to get, you know, the right amount of points to, you know, cash in for a prize or some type of incentives that the organizer would create. Ultimately, this creates more traffic on the pages, more leads for the exhibitors, and a stronger ROI at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of keeping with this narrative of engagement with your audience, we've sort of already covered that speaker to attendee engagement. We just covered sponsor to attendee engagement. And now kind of the third pillar, or the core, is the attendee to attendee engagement. So when I play this video, within our community tool, your attendees actually have the ability to not just do a one-to-one chat conversation, but they can also do real-time one-to-one video calls to really help kind of bring back that feeling of, you know, you're not just talking to somebody in a chat, but you can actually engage with them through that video call. And then attendees will also be able to do group calls. So great for networking if you're trying to connect your colleagues or your peers to maybe other organizations. You could also use this to run smaller meetings during your event or the larger overarching event. And then obviously this will also tie in with matchmaking, where you'll be able to use smart filters to set the criteria for different kinds of attendees that you're trying to connect with. This will just provide more meaningful conversations and will kind of hone in on the industries and the individuals that you really want to target when you're at these events. So, you know, with all of these tools that Nick and I are mentioning, there are a variety of different events that our product is a great fit for. So yes, in a nutshell, we can do the conferences, we can do the professional meetings, etc. But our approach, or the Boomset way, as we lovingly refer it, is really to just sit down with our customer and have a conversation and better understand what the goal is for that event. Is it to deliver education? Is it to really drive in networking? Is it to just provide a really cool virtual experience? And then kind of taking that information and taking that conversation, we will be able to provide a more tailored custom solution for you. And I think that kind of leads nicely into why Boomset.
Yeah, definitely. So, we can talk about feature set all day long, and certainly we encourage everyone joining to schedule a demo to learn more. But really, we define our success by 3 pillars, and we always have, since the history of Boomset and supporting event organizers. One is in the all-in-one platform. Yes, we're integration friendly. We're always down to collaborate with new companies and be creative. But at the end of the day, it's about making the lives of event organizers easier. And if you can minimize the dependence on third-party platforms, it's definitely one way to do so. Best-in-class support, and that's about being available when you call and when you email. And also not just being attentive, but having the expertise across all the different solutions that we offer. And certainly our team is, we take a lot of pride in that. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, I think is a huge reason why we see people come back to Boomset year after year is just how easy the system is to use for scalability and it just being straightforward. And ultimately that, decreases your need to have your support at the end of the day if something just, it works and you get it.
Awesome. So, thank you all so much for listening to us. If you want to learn more, or if you want to do a deeper dive with our team, we would love to talk to you. All you have to do is go to boomset.com, fill out our form, and definitely be sure to write that you heard about us through Texi Talk so we can give you a little discount there. And also just wanted to give a quick shout out to Liz. Thank you so much for having us on here. I know you mentioned earlier that we've worked with you before. I think one of my first events I ever did with Boomset back in 2015 was a Texi Talk event.
Nice.
Like running to Texi Talk with zebra printers and stuff like that back in the day. So it's nice to be back with the community.
I remember those days. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. Really excited to see that you guys are embracing virtual and taking your platform to the next level and being a support to so many. Your team is on fire in the chat answering all of these questions, but there are a few that even though I think they were answered, I want to make sure we address on the video as well. This seems to be a popular question for everyone. Do you allow for breakouts in multiple tracks? How does all that work on the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can choose to do breakouts premeditated. So if you already know your breakouts ahead of time, you can create them, or you can create them in the fly. If you are talking about an overarching topic and want to break out into concentrations, for example, you'll have the ability to easily go into smaller groups and connect with your peers there.
Awesome. And then what about, let's see here. Can people set up one-to-one appointments in a larger event? How does that work?
Yeah, so is that mostly for, I'm guessing, to create a meeting ahead of time?
I'm guessing for the networking. Whoever put this in can definitely give some more information, but I guess, in terms of being able to find people who are attending the event, I know a lot of people are trying to recreate that serendipitous interaction. So how does all that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you as the event organizer can decide if you want to do any kind of pre-event mixing around and things like that. And if you open that up, your guests can certainly go in and start networking ahead of the actual event content launching.
Awesome. I did see this question come in, lots of questions, so I'm trying to find it. But I wanted to hear a little bit more too about the sponsorship activations, because I know that I'm getting that question a lot, especially for people who are pivoting to virtual and maybe they have sponsors who are already signed up to have a table at their in-person event. Now they need to figure out what the virtual looks like for them. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works on the Boomset platform?
Yeah, sure. I can take that one, Janelle. So we can offer different tiers for sponsors. So, classic, for example, gold, platinum, and silver tiers. And those tiers will impact your listing and order placement in the directory. So there's kind of a separate section for exhibitors. And when you click that, you'll see everyone's logo. And that's how the tiers are separated. It also will impact the functionality that the sponsor will be able to take advantage of within the platform. So for example, like video presentations, lead capture, or setting, having chat available. The organizer can actually determine what feature set correlates to what sponsorship level, if that makes sense. And then within all the session rooms and all the you can rename these rooms whatever you like. There's some opportunity for branding as well in terms of like imaging and adding some HTML, things like that.
Perfect. Okay. This may have been, you may have just kind of answered this a little bit. Ramon is asking about best practices for virtual kind of table experiences, how we do that in person. Do you feel like you just kind of answered that, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think for the most part, it's really identifying as the exhibitor or sponsor company, like what's the most important, what's the end goal, right? What are you looking to achieve at the event? And then building some of that feature opportunity and engagement opportunity around it, right? Like, should you be a gold or silver or platinum sponsor? Do you want to be able to engage in video and have sales presentations during the event? If so, like that, definitely would kind of steer you in the right direction.
Okay, perfect. And then I am seeing the question, can you just confirm on pricing? I know you mentioned you don't charge, for large numbers of registrations, but it does look like in the chat there is some kind of base fee. How does it work exactly?
Yeah, so I can kind of take that. We take a first look, like I said before, with the customer, trying to figure out what tools are you trying to utilize. So are you someone that needs registration? Are you someone that already has an internal list? Do you need to build out really robust API tools, webhooks, etc.? We take a look at what kind of foundational platform you would need, and then obviously what kind of plugin. Is it in person, not anymore, but virtual, hybrid, and then with that, we would build the package for you. And then surrounding the registrations, of course, yes, there are unlimited registrations, so we're not charging per person that is signing up.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Your team looks like they're doing a pretty good job of keeping up on all these questions. So,
it's support, I'm telling you, they're on top of it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today and sharing all of this that Boomset is working on. If you guys have any questions, please do, again, go to boomset.com. Make sure you fill out that form. I'm sure they would love to hear you heard about them from Texie Talk.
Yep.
So fill out that form. Make sure you do a full demo. Janal, thank you so much for joining us. And Nick as well. I lost him a little bit, but thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, so we're back to all the switching over here. I'm really excited to bring on our next presenter, Ali Magyar. Let me just bring you on while I am talking about you. You are the amazing head at Hub. You joined us for the Pivot Virtual Summit. So first of all, hi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
I know you talked at the Pivot Virtual Summit about this amazing virtual event that you did for the events industry and how you took that online. I would highly encourage people to check that out. But that was one of the sessions actually that made me think that maybe a showcase like this would be great, because we were talking about the event. And then I think we were getting a lot of questions about the technology. How does it work? What does it look like? So really excited to have you join us today. As Ali is talking about her product, don't forget, you can definitely put your questions in. We will be sure to take as many of them as possible. But Ali, I would love to just have you kind of take over from here. I'll move your slides whenever you give me whatever sign you want to give me. Yeah, we would love to hear more about Hub and how it can help our events.
Yeah, sounds good. And Liz, I was actually just going to share my screen and actually show around the product if that works. And be able to talk through sort of the value props that we have. So I am super excited to be here with everyone today. So I have been a meeting planner most of my career. And so I've been in the meetings and events industry over 20 years. And so as a part of that, I started when fax machines were our tech. And obviously we're in a completely different place now. And especially as we look at this pivot towards virtual events and what that might mean. And so today I thought I would share with you from a meeting planner perspective, but also in thinking about what virtual events can actually be, because there's a couple of key differentiators with Hub. Hub is a meeting planning company that's backed by people like me that have lots of meetings experience. And so I built Hub at first to help me because I was buried in information. I had to do our call for speakers, figure out who was going to present, collaborate with people, and then work with the speakers to update their titles, their abstracts, all their profiles, market all that information, do the same thing with all of our sponsors. So I was spending all my time in spreadsheets and email instead of actually working on the experiential elements. And so when I built Hub, at first it was to fix those issues. And so we have some of the best back-end automation tools in the industry that help you with all of your pre-planning, but also thinking about how that's the single source of truth that connects into your attendee experiences. And so in addition to the back-end tools, Hub's other value proposition is really thinking about how to create a experiential element of your event, whether it's in-person, virtual, or a hybrid of those things, and give people a sense of place and a sense of pride with your brand. And so today, as we talk through some of those things, I thought it would be easier to share with you guys some of what we did with Untethered, and give you a couple of other examples as well. So hopefully you guys are able to see that okay. It looked like there was some weird automation going on, but in a virtual event, when we talk about some of those unique value propositions, I'll show you both the front attendee experience as well as the back end. And as we think about what a virtual experience can be, this was an example of Untethered. Now, if you want to play around with a live event, get a feel for some of the experiential elements, you can still access this. We have over 130 different sessions that are all about our transition to virtual. And this can really help you to understand what's possible in a platform, although some things aren't available since it's not a live event right now. But as you're welcomed into the virtual event, this is how we envisioned our virtual event to look. It was a welcome video that's my face, so I'm not going to play it right now. But then we designed what it actually felt like to come into our office. We have lots of green walls and trees and elements. We have lots of natural light. And so we designed this element to welcome people into the event in a way that felt like they were experiencing something. Now, part of this also could be that maybe you're welcoming them into the San Diego Convention Center, like our clients here did, where their event was supposed to be in San Diego. Or if you're really out there, maybe you want it to look like it's Jurassic Park and you want Jurassic Park. Or maybe you are supposed to be in Nashville, and so you want to bring the feeling of Nashville into your event. This is where the flexibility of Hub's design capabilities really allow you to be able to curate the experience for your attendees and actually make them want to explore the platform and consume the different elements of content. There's also, every person has such a unique and differentiating feeling about 3D versus 2D. Is it better to do 3D? Is it better to do 2D? And I think working with a platform that allows you to make that choice for you individually gives you the flexibility to decide whether you want to be able to do 2D or whether you really want to focus on doing something 3D. So Hub has the capabilities to provide you with existing templates or allow you to go crazy with the different look and feel that you might want to have inside of your event as well. And I've seen a lot of questions here about virtual events and how do you actually manage a virtual event? How many sessions can you have going on at one time? And so, I definitely, suggest that you think about how can you use a platform that allows you to be able to give an experience like you were in a live event. Here, you're coming into a session cafe and you're seeing all the different types of learning that are available, but you can also go to an entire session list that gives you across multiple days, allows you to also consume on-demand content if you wanted to be able to do that. And as you think about your in-person events, and I think where we're going in the future is really thinking about hybrid. I've ran 30, 40,000 person citywides as a meeting planner. I've ran executive level events as a meeting planner. And one of the elements that's so important with events is that human connection. And so as we think about the future, I think we're going to need to think about tools that provide us the ability to be able to curate our in-person experience as well as our virtual, not to have two different technology platforms for each of those. Doesn't make sense for budget. It doesn't make sense to have them as disparate experiences. So tools like Hub can work for in-person events or virtual events. It gives you flexibility as you continue to grow. As we think about sessions, this is where you can come in, and one of the things we want to do for attendees is KISS. Keep it stupid simple. Make it easy for people. So whether that's giving them recommendations for sessions or sponsors or users, or whether it's just coming in and saying, you know, I'm most interested in the adapting to virtual track and being able to filter by that to see the sessions that come up that are all about adapting to virtual. So having a system that allows you to search, sort, and filter to get to information that makes sense to you. Now with Hub's platform, you can absolutely have multiple concurrent sessions. You can have a variety of different video platform providers, be streaming or have on-demand or semi-live content. So there's lots of flexibility, just like you would have in person. You're gonna have multiple breakouts going on at one time. You're gonna have options to go grab coffee with someone. So Hub's platform is very flexible to allow you to be able to have multiple concurrent session types and provide you engagement inside of the sessions as it pertains to chat, as well as having live sessions where you can be having a live Q&A if that was your preference as well. And in Untethered, I think we've learned a couple of tips and tricks, but you know, no attendees know whether you're live or not, which is just an interesting concept to think about. And so really think about how you curate that. But in addition, we also have community features where you can meet with different people in the community. You can filter, search, and sort and have recommendations there. You can come in to see their schedule to sort of see what they're doing and what they're attending, so you can add things similar to your calendar. You can schedule one-on-one meetings in virtual rooms. So really thinking about ways that you can connect with the community in a really powerful way. And events happen because of human connection, like I was talking about before. So in addition to the session content, also being able to connect with people in different ways. Maybe you want to have brainstorm sessions where it's peer-to-peer group discussions. An attendee can come in and make a suggestion around a topic that they want to talk with other peers. That gets added to your session listing. And then they have a small group discussion in a virtual room around specific key topics. Or maybe it's expert meetings where you have people from your company that you want to set up as experts, where people can book one-on-one time with them to talk about a specific problem or issue that they're experiencing or an opportunity that they want to explore. Virtual events need to feel like live events in that they need that human connection, that interaction, and they also need the ability to choose your own adventure. Maybe you want to attend sessions at some times, maybe you want to attend meetings at other times. And so being able to come in and see across your entire calendar, be able to see meetings and sessions in one place to be able to manage your experience. I'm going to go really quick through the next couple of things, but you know, virtual expo halls are also a thing. If you don't like the 3D look, it can also just be a listing of all of your sponsors and exhibitors with filters. So a lot of different ways of thinking about curating your sponsor and exhibitor halls, whether it's that you want to have a completely custom view. You don't like this look and feel, you want it to be in Jurassic Park? Great, we can make that happen. But this allows you to have your sponsors to have a lot of value, not only from having their information displayed, like a video, like their company information and being able to opt in to share leads, but in chatting with them, in scheduling a meeting with the team, by attending the sessions that they're presenting. So a lot of value for your sponsors and exhibitors. There's also lots of different ways of bringing in experiential elements, whether it's social connect and being able to allow people to have a social wall where different feeds are being brought in, or whether it's a virtual photo booth that allows you to go in and take pictures and be able to then post those to the social wall. Or maybe it's branding your backdrops, giving people virtual swag, or just having custom pages that allow you to promote different elements throughout your events that allow you to meet your business goals and objectives. This is the flexibility of Hub's platform as it pertains to sessions, to connecting people human to human, as providing that interaction, your sponsors, and then also the experiential design that ends up being so important. And Liz, I think that's my 10 minutes.
You are on it. Thank you so much. I want to make sure I put up your contact information as well so that people can reach out to you. I did see a link in the chat. So if you don't want to go type something, you can just click into the chat. But we are seeing lots of great questions. Really, you know, the design of your platform is one of those things that I think is a differentiator for sure. It does make you feel like you're walking into an in-person event, but not in a way that's kind of like creepy and weird. I'm sure we've all seen those platforms. So I'm seeing a bunch of questions about this. One is, do you work with a design team with Hub? Do you have your own? I've seen another question. let's say you do have your own design team, is this something they can just kind of like easily work within the platform? How does all of that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really, it comes down to budget, right? Everything is a question of budget and time. So if you have a meeting next week and you've got a budget of $5, then it's probably going to be hard to accomplish. But with time, we can accomplish near everything. So we have worked with in-house design teams in terms of our customers' in-house design teams, and we have specifications that we can give them. So the example that I showed in the San Diego Convention Center actually came to us from the client's design team. They knew exactly what they wanted to execute on. And then we also have partners that are some of the best designers in the country. They really know experiential design. I actually got to work with them when I produced in-person events for corporate tech. And so they've come on board with us to really hone in on some unique and creative experiential elements for design. So we have flexibility for both.
Okay, awesome. Another question we get for every single presentation is, how does the pricing work? And a specific question within that, is it different for 2D versus 3D? What are the tiers like? How does all the, obviously from a baseline perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hub is definitely a premium product. So we were built to work with the most complex events in the country. So if you have needs for automation for your speakers and your sponsors, and then a need for that sort of fully custom experience on the front end, that's where Hub comes into play. So our base package starts at $20,000 for 1,000 people. And then we just price based off of number of sessions, number of sponsors. So we get a couple of data points from you to be able to curate a package that fits your needs.
Perfect. And is there a difference between 2D and 3D for the pricing?
There isn't. And part of our, you can either utilize our templates, which are 3D or 2D. So you can utilize our templates, or if you have a design team in-house and they can HTML code, we have a WYSIWYG editor in the back. You can design to your heart's content for what you want that to look like on the front side. So you have lots of options of self-service. That's one of the other things that sets Hub apart, is the fact that I was awake at 2 a.m. as a meeting planner and no one wanted to talk to me. And so we built a product that allows you to manage everything yourself if that's your desire.
I mean, technology, when it comes from the planner perspective, is always much more intuitive for those of us who plan events. I've talked to so many tech companies who have built and then realized, oh, we could sell this to event planners, and they have no idea how that works. So yes, thank you in advance for that. You did mention time. Everything can be done with time. So this is kind of a question I'm tossing in. What's an ideal time frame in terms of, from when they decide they're going to work with you to the event? Obviously, I'm sure you could pull something together very quickly, but what's an ideal time frame?
Yeah, I would say the ideal time frame is about 8 weeks. That doesn't overwhelm the meeting planners because they've got time to sort of get through things. We've had people call us in tears. Their event is in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and we just have to, help them get through that. And we can do that where needed. But I think the ideal time frame is roughly 8 weeks. And so as a part of our implementation process, we share a project plan. We share very clear roles and responsibilities. It's normal event stuff, how I would run events. And so 8 weeks allows you the flexibility and the timing to consume, to strategize, to think without feeling super rushed.
Awesome. Another question, we like to do these rapid fire. Does this work with VR platforms? Is there any kind of VR component of this?
Yeah, VR, AR, XR, those are all super hot terms right now. And so absolutely, if you can code it on a website page, it can be a part of our experience as well. So, we would want to get into some specifics with VR, because you have to just think about what is the VR experience for those that maybe don't have a headset. Are you going to do AR, XR? So we absolutely have capabilities to be able to customize. And I would suggest longer than 8 weeks if you're going to try to go down a whole custom VR path. But absolutely, we can work with VR, AR, XR.
Okay, so just because we have all different tech levels watching, can you just quickly VR, AR, XR, what is it? I know, but maybe not everyone else knows.
It's basically, when you think about virtual reality, you think about being in a completely different world. I actually just ordered an Oculus, and I haven't worn one in years. And I put it on, and I literally had a panic attack from feeling like I was going to fall off a cliff in this thing. And I had to rip it off my head. I was so overwhelmed. So it's really just providing you different perspectives. So VR, AR, XR is all just, how can you bring an attendee into something that's multidimensional and brings them into an experience? And so there's different ways of doing that. Virtual reality usually comes with a headset or goggles or some glasses, some other type of equipment that allows you to really feel immersed. AR and XR don't necessarily always require that. And so it's, how do you give perception to an attendee of an experience?
Perfect. Another question from Melva. Can the concurrence break into smaller groups? So let's say there's 10 sessions, people want to get together from those groups and do breakouts. Can all of that happen?
Absolutely. So usually what we find is someone might be attending a breakout and they're like, ooh, I really want to dive deeper into this topic. And so they create a brainstorm session, and then anyone that wants to join that brainstorm session can get together. Or you could say, oh, Liz, I really like what you talked about in that session. Can we get together? And you can schedule a one-on-one meeting right from there too and meet in a virtual room.
Okay. What about, Karen wants to know about international capabilities, different languages, time zones. A very popular question these days is translation.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of different video capabilities that allow you to have closed captioning, to have different language translation and closed captioning so that people can be immersed into the video content as a part of the international languages. And time zones is really, to me, it's more of an experiential design element in terms of how do you think about when you host your sessions, when are your interactive sessions. We absolutely can accommodate time zones. One of the features we have coming out this summer allows a user to set their time zone and then changes the entire platform to their local time zone so that they can have a better idea of how to consume the experience.
Okay, I've been seeing that a lot. I think that's a popular way to do it as compared to trying to translate everything into.
Right.
All right. Is this proprietary? Mystery Facebook user would like to know.
I'm not sure what that would necessarily mean, but yes.
Basically, it's a native platform. You're not bringing Zoom into this. Is everything kind of happening on your platform, or are there lots of integrations? I think is the question.
Okay, got it. So that makes sense. So Hub is very flexible in that, for example, you can use Hub for hosting all your video content, or if you're using Vimeo or YouTube or Facebook Live, we can integrate across all of those different platforms. So as long as it has a video URL, we can bring that into our platform to display. We also have the capabilities to work with lots of different live streaming platform providers as well. So if you use Microsoft Teams or you use BlueJeans or WebEx, we have the ability to basically pull everything into one experience in one place for your attendees to be able to consume. So yes, Hub is a proprietary platform in that we own the software and the whole front end experience, but we also can integrate with any technology platforms that you might want to be using.
Perfect. Okay, another mystery Facebook user. Just as a side note, if your comments are coming up like this, you just have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook. It's in the description and give us access to see your name and picture. Is it event only, or do you have like any kind of annual subscriptions for people who have many events per year?
Absolutely. We offer volume discount pricing for people that have multiple events throughout the year. So I wouldn't say it's annual subscription pricing, but we absolutely have multiple event discounts.
Perfect. Okay. And I'm seeing lots of questions about pricing. So I'll have you guys go in and kind of fill that in.
Absolutely.
The best way for not only Hub, but any platform, if you're really curious about pricing, of course, is to reach out directly, because even though there are always base prices, it really does depend on your event parameters. So if it has intrigued you enough to get to the point where you're asking about pricing, you should probably set up a demo. So I'll leave it there, but we can definitely, if you can go in the chat, and I see some people on your team, I think, are already kind of responding to stuff as well. Here's a question again from Melva. If the timeline is accelerated, does that increase the cost? Good question.
It doesn't. I mean, usually what it means is, do we have enough time and resources to be able to get your event done so that you can be successful? And if we don't think we can be successful in getting your event done, we will absolutely share that with you, but we don't increase the cost based on the timeline.
Perfect. Let's see here. Closed captioning translation we did cover. VR headsets we talked about. We just talked about how to unhide your identity for the comments. Let's see here. What about monetization options? Do you have kind of an analytics and reporting module? How can we monetize this with sponsors and kind of other platforms?
Data is so important. And that's one of the beauty of virtual, is I feel like it is a data mine for us. It's pure gold. And so as we think about how we monetize that, I think there's multiple ways of thinking about, not only for your own business, but also for the sponsors that are a part of your event. They attend your event because they're looking for leads. So how do you provide them leads? And you have to ensure that you've got great reporting. Who visited the booth, who clicked on what resources, who downloaded which information, who scheduled meetings with your team. All of that needs to be rolled up into reporting that really show the ROI for the sponsors that are participating in the event. So yes, Hub has deep analytics and reporting.
Awesome. All right. I do see lots of other questions in here, so I'll ask you to kind of jump in, but our time
Yeah.
is up with you today. Thank you so much for giving us this peek into the Hub platform.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for the time.
All right. So we move along. We're keeping right on schedule here. Very excited to introduce our next speaker, Casey Hobson. I'm going to bring him on in while I'm talking to you all. Casey, hello. Welcome.
Hi, Liz. How are you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you. Interesting show you have.
I always like to put together interesting things. So this is I've heard of Event Rebels for quite some time. You and I have had many interactions, but we haven't really had a great opportunity to do something like the showcase together. So very excited to learn from you. I'm going to control your slides from this side. Let me know however you want how to pass them through. And attendees, I see amazing questions continuing to come in. So please do submit them as he's talking and as you're thinking. That way we can bring them on in because we have limited time. So don't wait until he's all done talking. All right, Casey, I'm going to leave it up to you. Thank you.
I'll get the show on the road. My name is Casey Hobson, president and founder of Event Rebels. We've been around since the turn of the century, millions of registrations, millions of transactions. Probably the reason why we've been able to develop some great virtual conference and trade show software is it's built on our event management suite. We have online registration, speaker management, trade show software, and 3 different mobile apps. And we've all been able to bring that to bear onto our software. A lot of our customers are education oriented for their conferences, and it's very important that they track who went to what session. And we've really built all this tracking into our software. I'll talk about that in a minute. But probably the thing that people like most about us is you all have your own designated project manager. So you're talking to the same person each time. You're not talking to a phone bank. You're not calling some call center where you have to re-explain your life story. They know what you need. They've been trained heavily on virtual. They even can help you out with your Zoom licenses. And that kind of gets directly into what I think makes our software really, really special is we build our virtual conference on a direct Zoom integration. It occurred to us, why reinvent the wheel? Zoom is the best video conferencing software out there, 300 million plus users, and we interact directly with Zoom. I'll talk about how that works in a minute. For us, we've also found that pre-recordings are really popular these days, and we've also developed an integration with Vimeo. And with both of those, we can track exactly who viewed what and get the scan logs, and in the end, help use that for educational credits and CEUs. Our schedules are highly customized, as you can see on the left there. We can, for example, customize the day by, do it by day, or people can only see like packages of 5. So everything is customized for each user based on what they bought, their profiles. Each link is encoded to them, so we know exactly who clicked on what and when. Each page is customizable. It has a header that you can have, for example, you see the sponsor links there, or on your session pages, you can have session descriptions. There's a menu. One of the things we do a lot of is actually make it look like your website, so it fits right into the brand of your website. And then on the footers of each page, you can have things like the resources, like the PowerPoints, PDFs, and so forth. So basically, you email blast the attendees this conference page. They click on the link. They see their schedule. As you can see, there's a general session there, as well as multiple breakout sessions. They can go into each one as your permissions give. And basically, once they click on the link, they get a session page like you see there at the bottom. That page can too be highly customized. So you can have individual sponsor links. We've talked a lot about using the sponsors as moderators to help make your sessions more exciting. In this example, as you see here with latch hooking, we actually put in a YouTube link. We can't track YouTube, but if it's not important for you to track, you can do all that. One of the models we've seen that's real popular is to have a pre-recording and then have the live session actually be a Q&A. So we're all set up to support all these different types of configurations. And I'll talk a little bit more about these configurations in a minute. When you're all done, like I said, we have the full scan logs. People can issue surveys based on what they attended, as well as being issued CEUs. Next slide, Liz. Our virtual trade show software is built off our ER show, online trade show, and exhibitor management software. Basically, each attendee has 2 different ways to go to the virtual trade show. They can see basically a floor map which among other things, our software is set up for hybrid. So when you go back to those real face-to-face shows, we can fit right in, and we can have rules like the virtual attendees get to see different sessions than your real-time attendees. If you have a real show, we can use the format for the real show. But if it's all virtual, then you can pretty much put any image you want there. Make the sponsors huge, make the other exhibitors not so huge. But then there's also a search page that you can see on the bottom left. And on the search page, you can tag the sponsors by different levels. You can also give them different categories. But the big thing is when you click on a link, you can go into a profile page. And on the profile pages, there's a lot of different elements. At the top, there's the logo and description of the company, a welcome video they can post there along with text, and then unlimited resources. And those resources can include more videos, they can include files and so forth. And then finally, the staff, they can basically go into each staff, chat with them or the company, and each staffer can have a video link of their own choosing. Not something you need to license. They basically can click on the link and start talking virtually with the staffer. We're really big on the analytics, so we track everything, every click on the virtual trade show, and we're going to be adding a virtual tote bag where the attendees can basically go in and keep track of everything they've collected. Next slide, Liz. So when Liz said we had to pick our case study, it was real easy for me. One of our first adopters of the conference used the software, I just think, in the way I dreamed. 800-person conference, 4 days, had general and concurrent sessions. They use Zoom to the fullest. Basically, we have this concept of channels. You create all these different channels. They map to your rooms. Those Zoom channels can be Zoom webinars, Zoom meetings, but they can also be things, you can even use free Zoom licenses if you don't need to track who went to what session. And this person basically used about 17 different Zoom channels to create this very lively conference. Besides the educational sessions, they had a virtual all-day Zoom lounge, which people went in and out all day long, but also volunteer rooms and special interest group rooms, which also proved very, very popular. But here's the thing that's most amazing about what they did with the software. They broke all attendance records, and not because it was free. They charged just a little bit less than what they usually charge, but their content was great. But here's the big thing. It was their most profitable show they ever had. How about that? Why was it profitable? Well, with using just our platform and Zoom, you get numbers that really work for you that you wouldn't necessarily get with a expensive AV company or other solutions. But the other thing is the attendees said it was their best conference ever. So how about that? The total trifecta there. Broke attendance records, most profitable, and their best conference ever. But here's the thing that really blows my socks off. Only one employee oversaw the whole operation. The organization only had one single employee. They had lined up a couple computers, basically was the director. They said, go to each host, and everything went great. What I really like about the software and what we did here was we gave them the tools. It's basically a Swiss Army knife where they went to town, coming up with every different idea. And I gotta say, most of them worked. So I simply can't top that case study. So thank you for asking that question, Liz, because I just don't know how you could do better than that. So next slide. So basically, there's three things I picked that really separates us from the pack. The designated project manager. People say they have great phone support, but what happens? You had to call a different person each time. You had to re-explain your life story and start over. Not with us. Our project manager is here to help you succeed. They'll share everything we've learned. All our users know that we broadcast a lot of education to them. So we're always giving you the tools you need to succeed. But the second thing, and this, I think this example showed, that once you get going and you figure out, learn how to set up the shell of the software, it's easy to produce. And once more, this person by himself produced a extremely successful 800-person conference. And then finally, I just got to say, I think ours is the most cost-effective solution out there. Our prices are very reasonable, but then you're using Zoom and Vimeo. So you're not paying $20,000 plus to get started with the AV company. You're using these great products that you can do by a month. So one of the things I like about Zoom is you can upgrade to your licenses, plus use the free ones when you can, and then downgrade when you're over with. So you're not stuck with some large upfront costs, large annual licenses, or anything like that. So I think these three things are really what contributed to this incredibly successful conference, and I'm hoping we could do the same thing with you. Give you your best attendance, make you profitable, and really just put on your best conference ever, face to face or virtual. So I think, Liz, that's my thank you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. I see one Facebook user is saying that they use you for speaker management and they think your project manager is great, or at least their project manager is great.
All our project managers are great. Thanks, Brian. All our project managers face to face have 5 years plus experience with the company.
Awesome. Now, you did mention pricing, as you have pricing throughout the rest of the day. It's a popular question. You mentioned that you're very affordable. Someone wants to know, how does pricing work? How does it start for a half day or full day? How does it all work?
I'll just go right into it. So the amazing thing about our virtual conference software is it's actually included with our online registration software. Now, you don't have to use our online registration, but basically if you use it, you get it. Basically, ballpark pricing, 500 attendee conference, 2,000 to 2,500. But of course, it's all customized on your needs, and it can vary quite a bit.
Makes sense. And that's, again, where you'd want to reach out for a demo. I think that none of the companies who are presenting today price based on how big your budget is. So that's one of my one of my qualifications when I look at companies that are great. I hate when companies are like, well, it depends how much money you have. I'm like, that's not how we do pricing. So yes.
But basically just I know everyone loves this topic, so I'll go ahead and work on it. Basically I'm saying we're volume based. So it's based on number of attendees, number of exhibitors.
Perfect. Yes, it does obviously depend. I do see Vincenzo wants to know, are the virtual tote bags opt-in? Are they given to everyone? Do you kind of get only from the exhibitors that you've seen? I like to enhance people's questions. So tell us more about this part.
Thank you, Vincenzo. It's not, like I said, it's still in development. What we're expecting to do is a lot of things might be restricted by sponsorship levels. So the sponsors would have more videos. I mean, we already know we're going to be doing all that. But can you read the question again, though? It was a great question.
Yes. Sorry, scrolling. Oh my goodness, so many comments. Oh, here, are they opt-in or does everyone get them?
Yeah, it's meant for everyone to get into it. Basically, on that profile page, they see a video.
Did I lose you?
Okay, we're back.
Here we go. Okay, got it. All right, let's see here. What other questions do we have? I see someone says, heck of a case study. I know you mentioned Zoom and you also mentioned Vimeo. Do you have to use Zoom? Do you have other services? How does that work?
Yeah, let me walk through all that. So Zoom and Vimeo are the ones where we're able to do the tracking. You saw in the example there was a YouTube. We are open to installing the tracking mechanism to other products out there. We've heard of WebEx. Strangely enough, Microsoft Teams is the one that's coming up the most. Go figure. But I think it's because of the government has all these deals with Microsoft Teams. So we're expecting to probably work in some other integrations. But even before the integration's done, if you can iframe it, we can put it into the custom software.
Okay, so there is flexibility there. Now, one thing that I know you mentioned, Brian also mentions it in his comment, is about the tracking for education credits. This is a question I've gotten a lot lately. How does that work?
Yeah, so we've had the CEU tracking for a very long time. We do it with the universities. Basically, there's two levels of CEU tracking. There's certificate of attendance, like I went to a training session, but then there's ones where I went to individual sessions. And basically what happens is Zoom and Vimeo send us the scan logs. We can set rules like they have to be there 90% of the time. I mean, Zoom's amazing. They can actually tell when you're not paying attention. I mean, it's
that would be too often for me.
Really amazing. Yeah. And then we award it based on those criterias. We've done CEUs with more complicated formulas. Like we had one show where it was based on state inspectors, and each state had different criteria and gave different CEUs. So they got a certificate, basically said, hey, in New Jersey, you got 3 credits for this, and in Pennsylvania, you got 2. Oh, nice kid.
Right. Sorry, I'm with my screen. You got to see my picture there.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, so Brian also says people sometimes have these baked Microsoft Teams licensing, so they could potentially save as compared to all of that.
Yeah. Just to add the Microsoft Teams, I think the main thing we're trying to figure out. I mean, I think this is actually high on our hit parade, but we want to make sure we can integrate it with the way that needs to be with, like Zoom. The way our integration works is pretty awesome. If a Zoom admin comes in, the whole company is actually available as a resource. So not every single person has to log in. I think Microsoft Teams has a different permission model, and we're trying to figure that out.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for the detail on that. The tech me loves all of that. So those are all the questions I think I see. If you could pop into the feed. Oh, one more. Sorry. Came in just now from Heidi. Is there a way to keep the content up for additional attendee post engagement?
Great question. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, no, absolutely. What we saw is our shows is, especially since it's tied to the registration page, what you can do, and we've actually do it with our own virtual conference software. That's one of the cool things is we've been promoting this with our own virtual conference software. We had a virtual conference with pre-recordings, then we had a live recording. Then when we're done, we put the recording of the recording there, and then people could register and go and see that, but you could charge for it. And like do the packages. So we're very much into this post-conference access to content. We think this is a hot trend. What I've been emphasizing about the virtual thing is forget, you're in a hotel room from 9 to 5. Just get that out of your mind. Send out the pre-recordings 2 weeks before the show, and then have it available afterwards for a fee if you're able to do that, which I think a lot of people do. We're doing a webinar on pricing, and just to kind of throw things in, we're seeing that people are too quick to make their content free. I think because they're scared. No, this is great content. You can charge for it. I have an article up there on the blog. Derek Johnson from I forgot the name of the company. He gave us some great feedback, but don't give it away for free. Charge, but you got good content out there. Charge for it.
I agree. I'm going to listen to that. We'll do that in the future. So thank you so much, Casey, for sharing with us. Here's all the contact information for Event Rebels. So if you guys are interested in learning more, definitely reach out.
Yeah, just to add, it's Casey Hopps at eventrebels.com, but you could also do sales, SALES, at eventrebels.com.
They want to talk to you, though.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. Bye.
All right. So we are moving on. We like to keep everything moving. I can't believe we are 3 minutes ahead of schedule. We went from 3 minutes behind to 3 minutes ahead. I like how that rolls. All right. We are jumping into our next presenter, which is Event Cadence. And I would like to bring Edward Cato onto the screen. Edward, nice to meet you and see you here.
As well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. So one of the interesting pieces of information that I'll use to introduce you is that for all of the companies that we have seen so far, I have a long relationship with them. I've seen their companies evolve. Cadence is a rare example in that I actually sat for a demo with Edward last week, something very, very recent. It's a platform I came across through, I think, Vanessa, who might actually be watching and had told me about it. Did a demo, and I thought it was really, really interesting what they're doing. So I wanted to make sure they are included here. So I have seen the platform. I think it's amazing. I want to make sure Edward gets a chance to show you around. Edward, you have the 10 minutes, and then we will take questions. As you can tell, it's very fast paced. We're getting lots of questions in, so I will let you take it over from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for having us on the show. So I have a lot to share. Honestly, let me go ahead and share my screen. So first of all, the platform is native on iOS and Android. We built this platform. We've been around for about 3 years now, live. We've worked with a lot of different pharma companies, other enterprises, and so on. And so we've built the platform to be compatible with large organizations. You can, of course, use it for a small group, no problem, but there's obviously certain complexity that was introduced with having large events. One of our biggest claims to fame is appointment setting is enabling say, our customers to engage their customers. And so we have an appointment setting feature that allows, say, 8 individuals at one company to then easily find an available time for their 8 individuals and then share that with the customer and let them pick. So think of it kind of like a Calendly on steroids. And so let me actually walk you quickly through the platform. Of course, this is a homepage. It can be kind of thought of as a home screen for your particular events. You have a chance to customize just about everything. So the logo, the color palettes, the images, what shows, of course, certain features in the platform can be hidden or shown to specific groups. So if you guys want to have maybe sell a VIP tickets versus a general admission tickets, you can certainly do so. So the platform gives you a chance to feature all sorts of different things. If you want to draw attention to a session, for example, you can certainly do so, or give a shout out to a sponsor, and then people can reach out to there. If you guys want to have people take surveys right before, we have a built-in survey platform right within there, and it also allows you to do live polling right in the platform. Second thing on this page is notifications. So we allow you to do push notifications to the entire audience, to a group, to a specific individuals. If you want to basically draw attention to the live feed, we have a built-in almost kind of like an Instagram specific to the events. And that allows your audience to be to share different things that are going on with events, allows them to be vulnerable. Obviously, if they share something on Instagram or Facebook, they know that their friends and family are going to see it, and they may not understand the context of that. So let me pull up the schedule. The platform does offer event level registration as well as session level registration. So if you're looking for that, the only caveat to though is we're not able to charge tickets, or basically charge admission. So if you're looking to sell tickets too, we just need to work with another registration platform. So it's a simple import-export process. We also have a native integration to Cvents. So we can just pull your attendee information directly from Cvents right into Cadence. Everything else is just an import-export. So no problem there. So of course, this is a schedule. We think images should just be the hallmark of your events. You know, if you look at, say, virtual coffee break, those words may not mean that much, but if you see this gorgeous image of coffee, you're probably thinking, oh, that's pretty good. I could actually go for a cup of coffee right now. So first thing you're looking at, though, of course, is the My Schedule page. This can be thought of as the sessions that you have either been assigned by the event organizer or you have opted into manually yourself. One important thing we've done with the switch to virtual is we have now added the ability to automatically sense where you are geographically and automatically change the time zones. So if you're using a VPN, such as maybe you're pretending to be in Chicago when you're really in San Fran, you can, of course, set your time zone no problem yourself. We also have the ability to subscribe. So what this does is this will put your different calendar sessions from Cadence into your Outlook or Google Calendar, so you make sure you're never missing anything. You can join these different sessions directly from your Outlook if you don't want to have Cadence open. Pulling up a particular session, let me actually pull one up here. A couple things here is we support every virtual platform. So if you guys want to use YouTube Live, Vimeo Live, Facebook Live, you guys want to use your own Zoom, GoToMeeting, we support them all, of course. We just need a link. One important thing we've noticed, though, is that many of our event organizers have been reaching out to us saying, I need to create 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 different breakouts. And of course, creating those different Zoom sessions yourself and then copying and pasting them into those into those different sessions is going to be an issue. And so we actually have an enterprise license. So if you as an event organizer say, you know what, I just want to make 10 breakouts, but have Cadence create those Zoom links, we can create them for you. And that way it's all done automatically for you and don't have to worry about setting those up and making sure they're mapped. We do, of course, support different tracks. Of course, you can basically limit them to certain groups. You can make them visible to everyone. The full event schedule, of course, will be all the different sessions, assuming they're visible to me. Some of these might be assigned to me already. Some of them might be might limit you based on the number of people that can attend. It could be 20, it could be 50, it could be 10,000. Lots of different options there. For people, of course, you have a couple different options you can do with this. So if you want to offer the ability for people to discover each other and to create profiles, you can certainly do so. You know, I might actually have a chat with, say, Michael, you know, my CEO. I have a direct message with him, and now I want to connect with him. So I might pull up his profile. Open once we connect, I'm going to be able to see his connections, you know, a bio, some different contact information. I can call him, I can email him, and we're on our way. One other thing is that if you guys have ever used Slack, and you're probably familiar with the concept of messaging channels. So we can have messaging channels that are based on the events, and so they're only visible when you're inside a particular event. We'll also have different channels based on that are kind of on a company level. So you might have 500 attendees that are in a company, and there might be 6 different events. These channels will persist and be visible across all those different events, and so on. So this supports GIFs, videos, and of course, complete text. Second thing, if you want to highlight different speakers, you can create a profile separate for your speakers. This is in addition to their people profiles, which you just saw a moment ago. This gives, say, different speakers a great chance to provide any additional information. So in this example, Kyle might have basically been a keynote speaker and is maybe wanting to offer some information to anyone who just saw his session and is like, oh, this is really, if you want to work with me, I'd love to work out with you. Please reach out to this, to my personal secretary, or fill out this application, and we love to work with you, and so on. If you guys want to highlight sponsors, you can certainly do so. We just chose fruit because platinum, gold, and silver are just so overused. So perfect example, when we grab or open up the grapefruit sponsors category, I can pull up Microsoft and have a couple different options here. So you can have a description that's kind of contextual to the events. So this might be, say, Edward and Michael saying, hey guys, we're Edward and Michael from Microsoft. We're representing, say, the Webby Awards, which uses our platform. And then I have different links to maybe a specific page on the Microsoft website, kind of highlighting that. One other thing we've seen people do is almost kind of a replacement to the Expo Hall, is we've seen some people basically create a separate track called Virtual Booth Hours. They might have each of their different sponsors and the representatives that are in there create a simple session, and it's maybe a 2-hour Zoom session. There's no agenda, there's no presentation. It's simply, these two individuals are going to be in the Zoom session for 2 hours. If you want to walk in, jump in, say hello for 5 hours or for 5 minutes, exchange some information and go, you can certainly do that. This has kind of been a very simple solution to the desire to have just kind of that virtual expo experience. Live feed is probably one of my favorite parts. This is at Instagram, kind of built in, and it's contextual to the events. You might have different GIFs you want to upload, but we basically use this for our company events. This is the Cadence POA we had back in January. We had a big company dinner where there's 15 of us, and we all flew in from different countries. And so this just gives us a chance to basically just share the shenanigans and the tomfoolery we had over the events. We also had a chance to post up the pictures we had during our meetings. And this is just a nice way for us to just share what happened during our events. What's also cool about this is we can take all those posts from the live feed and then aggregate them into a single public link. So this is called Moments. So what this is it's a publicly viewable link. Anyone can access this. You don't have to be logged in. And this gives you a way to kind of share all these moments. And this can be shared during the events as well as kind of after as a nice recap. During the company event, we all played laser tag. I didn't tell anyone that I played paintball competitively back in high school. So my coworkers were pretty bummed about me, about the ass whooping I delivered on playing laser tag. And it's just all this amazing time we had during this event. It's just nice to see these moments all in one single place. One last thing I want to share too, of course, is Symphony. So this is our next generation presentation platform. So we're building this to kind of replace Zoom, Zoom Webinar, and potentially even Zoom. Now, Zoom's great for like your small meetings, but if you're looking for a way to share different content, this is an amazing platform to do that. I can, of course, upload some PDFs of a PowerPoint slide. So if I'm creating a PowerPoint in, say, Google Slides or PowerPoint, I can simply just download it as a PDF, upload it to Symphony, and now I've got these different slides. Some of the advantages of this, for example, is that if I wanted to have the audience maybe take a quick survey on their financial health and just ask everyone, who here knows what their credit score is? I don't have to have them open up another link. I can just click on this, and then I, as an attendee, can just answer the survey right in the session. So I'm now instantly viewing this. In this content area here, of course, if I'm assuming I'm sharing content, I can have up to 6 people sharing video and audio. If there's no content being shared, I can have up to 50 people sharing video and audio. You can have unlimited participants. If you want to have 10,000 people watching and 50 people sharing their audio and video, you can certainly do that. Another thing you might notice about this is in my browser. There's no additional clients. There's no additional thing to download. So that solves 2 major issues. For the older folks, some folks just don't know how to configure the microphone and speakers. This just works automatically. It just uses your default. Number 2 is that this works on Chromebooks. So if any customers that are opening this up on Safari on their iPad, or maybe it's a Chromebook, this just works natively right in the browser, so they can view it straight away. If I want to, say, take a note about this slide, I can just take a note, say, show this to the Liz King audience. And now that slide and that note is saved to my profile. And so rather than only having the notes on a piece of paper and then taking the picture with my camera or my phone, now I've got them in the same place. The additional thing is that if you want to load up different images, so maybe you want to show slides and then we want to roll straight into a YouTube live stream, you can certainly do that. You can have pre-recorded Vimeo Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. It could be a pre-recorded video, such as Vimeo and YouTube and so on. You can load up any videos you like. So this allows you to transition from slides to surveys to live stream video into on-demand video. If you want to offer your audience the chance to then ask different questions, such as, when are we going to have lunch? I, as the presenter, can put that on the screen for the entire audience. So as I'm answering this question, I can then basically show them the answer to that. So one last thing, of course, is the ability to then schedule those appointments. So if you are having a client which wants to host customers at these meetings and basically meet with them, we have a full-blown event appointment scheduling software. Let me pull that up if I can really quickly here. So if you want to show and see the availability of all your different attendees, I, as myself, can schedule a meeting, add different members from my audience, basically from my company, add them to this, see when they're visible, and then I can email the customer saying, "Hi, sir, we'd like to meet with you. Please go ahead and select a time." They click the link to select the time, and then they just can pick a time to meet with you. So this makes it incredibly easy to allow your customer to schedule meetings with their own audience. Liz, am I out of time?
That was impressive.
All right, I just wrapped it up.
It's a very, very robust platform, and you were able to give us a very good run through in just 10 minutes.
Hopefully, I didn't talk too fast. I have an accent.
No, I definitely understood, and I can tell from the comments that we're getting in that people think it's a beautiful platform. A lot of comments about the images and a few questions. So I want to make sure we have some time to answer those. And then obviously people can reach out to you directly. Let's see here. So Marlis Arnold would like to know if you can go back to the Expo track idea.
Yeah.
And how were you creating sessions for each exhibitor, or how did that work? I know she's really big into the trade show experience.
Definitely. So I, as a attendee, so maybe I'm one of the exhibitors, I can go to my schedule, click on the plus sign, and create a session, and then I can give it, a time and so on. Select the time and dates. Select a track, such as virtual booth hours. And then I'm going to basically make this visible to all. And now everyone can click enable registration, and people can add it to their schedule. So this enables attendees to create them and then share them with other people if they so choose. So
very cool. Lots of great comments about how it looks very fun and engaging. Great that it works directly from the browser. Jackie wants to know, is Symphony available now?
No, so we're actually testing that right now with our existing customers, and we'll be launching it to the public somewhere around mid to late August is when we're aiming for. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you need beta testers, we have a very
we got an army of them now.
a lot of people.
Love it.
All right. So Marjorie wants to know, did she hear correctly that session selection can be integrated with an attendee's Outlook calendar, and then they can attend sessions directly from Outlook appointments?
That's exactly right. So I basically, to show you, I have many different events that I, as an attendee, basically, so these are different events that might be in my cadence, all the different things I'm attending. And then all those sessions from, say, the 6 different events, they are pushed into my Outlook or my Google Calendar. So these are sessions that are from events. And then I can just open this up, and then I can view on web. It opens it up directly to the session, and then jump into the Zoom session.
Could not be easier.
It really is. So this just makes it great for, like, if you have some attendees, maybe there's only 1 or 2 sessions that someone's attending during the day. Maybe it's a 2-hour thing. Obviously, they may not have the app open all day long, right? So we want to make sure that there's a nice way we can remind them, hey, join the session. If it's on your calendar, you're probably not going to miss it. So yeah, it kind of helps a lot with that.
Yeah, we like to say it doesn't exist unless it's on the calendar, because then nobody knows.
There's truer words have not been spoken. So
okay, and this is kind of related. To confirm, the breakout session feature takes them outside of the platform? No, right? It brings them in to the platform.
A couple different options, actually. So let me just pull up another page here. So if you guys have different breakout sessions, you can have it load right into Cadence. So if someone opens this up, this could open up Zoom, like the Zoom that we created for you. If you want to use our Zoom license, if you want to use your Zoom license, you can certainly do so. If you want it to open up Symphony, you can certainly do that. It could take them to YouTube Live, Vimeo Live. Where this button takes you is completely your control. It's where any options you guys have. If you guys want to use our breakouts, this will open up right now. So you might notice this session is about 4 months too early. So the reason why is we don't want anyone opening up this Zoom session way before it's supposed to open. So 15 minutes or less, it'll take you into Zoom. If you're 15 minutes or earlier, it says, hold on, pump the brakes. You're just a little bit too early. In this case, 4 months. So
just a little excited.
Just a wee bit.
All right. The question we always have to ask, what are we looking at in terms of pricing?
Pricing. So pricing is event-based. And also for the nonprofits out there, we do need a 501c3. But if you can provide a 501c3, we are offering 50% off for nonprofits perpetually. So let me quickly explain what's going on here. There's unlimited sessions, unlimited attendees, unlimited time. So a couple things I think a lot of event organizers have had this idea is I might have a big 3-day event on one weekend. I may want to open it up 3 weeks in advance, and let's invite people. Let's send push notifications to them, and let's invite them to go on the live feed. And we might offer, hey guys, we're giving away a $50 gift card to our attendees. Just post up the cutest picture of your dog, and the winner basically gets a gift card. Open it up 3 weeks in advance. And if you want to keep it open for 3 months afterwards, you are more than welcome to. We've been seeing that people might have 1 or 2 sessions each weekend, for the next 4 weekends after the session. You're welcome to do that. So the real big key differentiator here is Premium Pro. Features only Symphony is going to come with Premium Pro. You get a dedicated account manager. So that means if you guys need help setting up the events, it is self-service. We have all our new hires basically build their own events in the first 2 hours of being hired, and they're almost always able to finish it and build this gorgeous event in hours. So it's a very, very simple platform to build. We have live polling. If you guys want to offer the ability to schedule meetings with your customers, such as what you saw here, that's also part of Symphony. A part of Premium Pro. The big difference between our Essential platform and the Premium is a couple different things. If you guys wish to have multiple tracks, that's a premium feature. If you guys want to offer the custom branding, such as inserting your logos, your own color palettes, that's also on the Premium. The Premium Pro is more for audience engagements, customer engagements, and Symphony. So
Perfect. And I don't want people to miss, you said this is a desktop and mobile. There's a mobile.
Exactly right. So it's native on Android and iOS. And when I say iOS, I mean both iPad and iPhone. It scales beautifully, and there's a few other additional features you can do with an iPad. So.
Oh, good to know. So kind of like second screen.
Yeah, actually, many pharma companies might rent out the rooms at, say, like a large conference like ASCO, and they need to use the iPad as almost like a kiosk for checking into a room and checking it out. So you can put the iPad right on the wall, and it has a check-in, check-out feature. So. Got
it. Now, Cameron would like to know your thoughts around keeping attendees engaged in between all their calendar events and the different sessions that they have. Thoughts around this?
I think gamification might be a great way to do that. So I didn't really have a chance to kind of show that, but we can actually we do offer gamification, so we can configure the system so it offers people points based on doing different things. So one different way might be like you might get 5 points for, say, putting something on the live feed, 2 points for comments, and 1 point for liking something. There's also maybe having some different sessions that are a little more low-key or just a little bit more relaxed rather than being intense. One thing we've done with the live polling is we have people take live polls in the very beginning of these sessions and just basically make a game out of it. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. But I think one thing I've noticed is that even the in-person events that were super serious, such as the clinical oncology events we might have supported, people had fun. They like seeing their colleagues from the industry. And now these events have just gotten so serious. There's just no fun in this. We're getting zoomed out. And I think adding gamification is about the only way we can really make this fun and interactive, make people excited to see these things. And so, just having ridiculous gifts on there, it's just kind of fun. So.
All right. I hear from Karen. Apparently, we're overloading your servers. It looks like your schedule a demo page is hanging. So if you guys are having any issues getting a demo, please do check back. Definitely, all the contact information. Let me make sure I put up your contact.
I was just going to say, if you guys want to reach out to me, awesome. So
there we go.
Feel free to email me, edward@eventcadence.com. Feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to reply with my Calendly link. So I love to schedule time with you guys. So thank you so
we'll
much.
Make sure that happens. And one last question. Nancy wants to know, do all the packages have the Outlook calendar option?
Everyone, even the free tier, yes. So
awesome.
Great question, though. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for running us through your very robust platform very quickly. As you guys can see, very interesting features that they have. The Symphony, we can't wait till it comes out. And I see many people in the comments saying they'd be happy to be your beta tester. So,
love it. Awesome. Pleasure talking to you.
All right. Thank you, Edward.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks. That's like my favorite line, apparently. Whenever the session's over, I say, all right, folks, let's go to the next session. But very fast paced. We are keeping it rolling. With our next company, I had a really cool opportunity to do a podcast interview with Rachel Gray, who I'm going to bring on screen in 1 second when I can click the button. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited for people to learn about Engineerica. I know you're here to tell us a little bit about that today. And just kind of as a heads up, one of the unique factors that I know you'll talk about today is the attendance tracking, the credit tracking. That is a question we're getting a lot I'm getting it a lot, and I've seen it in the thread a lot, but I know you have a lot of really cool features. That's obviously not the only one. So I would love to have you kind of take it from here. I will share my screen.
So your podcast episode comes out next week, by the way.
Oh, perfect timing.
So we're really excited about that.
All right. Make sure you guys check that out. But in the meantime, Rachel, I will hand it over to you. Just give me some kind of sign when you want me to move your slides.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Liz, for having me on. Thank you, Nancy, for welcoming me. My name is Rachel Gray. I'm an event technology consultant. I live in sunny Orlando, Florida. We're actually one of the live event capitals of the USA. But right now we're kind of slow, due to COVID. We hope to get faster as the months go on. But here at Engineerica, we've been consulting in technology for actually over 25 years. So we offer a comprehensive event management solution, and you see that logo on the screen that looks like a paw. That is actually what we use to just show you Conference Tracker. So we're actually a event technology company that focuses on live, hybrid, and virtual events. We cater to any type of event, but today, and if you could move the slide along, Liz, that'd be great. I want you to meet Kaylee. She's actually an association meeting planner, and she was planning a 2,000 person event. And of course, there's a lot of planning that goes into this, months and months and months of work. And she was working on this for a long time, and she came to me and she was really concerned about pivoting her event to virtual. And she was concerned about a lot of things, but she had certain challenges. And there were 3 challenges that I'd like to discuss today. The first is seamlessly really converting her event from completely live to completely virtual. And the second was retaining sponsorships. And the third was attendance and credit tracking. If you could put those on the screen, that would be awesome. Liz?
Sure. And while I'm doing that, sorry, just people are saying they have a hard time hearing you. So if you're able to get a little closer, that would be awesome.
Sure.
I want to make sure we don't miss that. That sounds better. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Perfect. So there was 3 challenges that I really worked with Kaylee. The first was seamless conversion of her event from completely live to completely virtual, and then retaining her sponsorships. And then the third was attendance and credit tracking. Okay, so let's get into it. Hopefully you can hear me better now, I hope. Okay, so the first I really want to talk about is how we handled the really taking her event from completely live to completely virtual. And we did this through a comprehensive product offering. So that means really having everything in one place. So we have her customizable registration platform, marketing, virtual meeting organization. So that means if you have several, maybe breakout sessions, we're able to put them all in one place. Live or pre-recorded streaming, sponsor or attendee engagement, all of that. So I want to get into 2 of these really main points. And the first is live or pre-recorded streaming. So this can, of course, be integrated with a third-party service. So I know that Kaylee said that many of her presenters were familiar with Zoom, as many of you probably are. So really familiar with Zoom. So we can actually integrate with conferencing or streaming platforms like Zoom or GoToMeeting or maybe even Vimeo or YouTube. So any of those. But we're actually able to actually host your stream or pre-recorded video. So we're actually able to do that as well. Then the second thing is really moving networking into the virtual event and really creating an engaging aspect to the event. And we're able to do this through some of those live feeds. So very much like Instagram or Facebook that can be specific to breakout sessions, polls, surveys, attendee to attendee messaging, and networking rooms. Okay, so the second one was really providing her sponsors with visibility at her virtual event. So of course, She had before those coffee sponsorships or those physical sponsorships that were, maybe a bad sponsorship or a bag or tote bag sponsorships. And of course, there are ways to still retain those, but we wanted to give her sponsors really exposure during the event. So how we did that is by creating full company profiles. And these are equipped with video clips where you can actually demo your products. And then you also have the ability to engage and collect leads automatically from your audience. So what that means is if an attendee is, checking someone's advertisement out, one of your sponsors' advertisements out, and they click on it, the sponsor will get a notification that says, hey, somebody's interested in what you have to offer. So really collecting leads automatically in that manner. And then attendees are also able to actually set up appointments with sponsors or exhibitors. Finally, sponsors and exhibitors can actually purchase ad space. So they can purchase ad space within the platform from you as the conference organizer. So you can actually add this to your sponsorship deck. So whether it be within a session, you give them somewhere where they can actually be visible and say that, hey, I'm sponsoring this session. You have the ability to do that. Then finally, you can set up rooms where your sponsors can present their offerings and so much more. So the last challenge that Kaylee came to me was really about credit and attendance tracking. And Liz mentioned that in the very beginning. So here at Enginerica, we really believe that data collection and analytics are one of the most important aspects to your event. And then when you make that event virtual, it becomes essential. It's key. So our platform actually allows you to collect and analyze attendance data and so many other data points as well, but we're focusing on attendance data. But you can actually pre-customize for certain credit tracking requirements. So in Kaylee's case, she had 40 different sessions, right? Each with a different credit number required, right? Each of our participants had to spend at least 45 minutes in the session, and they had to take a survey in order to receive their credits. So we were actually able to track attendance at our event and automatically award her attendees credit hours and automatically generate certificates to her attendees. So this workflow was extremely streamlined. Kaylee didn't even know that was going on. It was just like a click of a button to her because our technology really allows for that process to become streamlined. All she knows is that her attendees' attendance were tracked and they got their certificates at the very end. So this workflow was completely streamlined, reducing stress for Kaylee and rigorous, data manipulation, because even if you get that data from, let's say, Zoom, and you've got that data, now you've got to translate it. You've got to add credit numbers to them. You've got to make sure the person was in there. And when you have a 2,000 person event, that's a lot of work. So we're able to do that automatically for you. All right, so the next slide, I really want to talk about our product. I want to really stress that we are a comprehensive event management solution. So that includes registration, it includes a marketing microsite for your event. And then in the live and hybrid event format, we actually also offer automatic check-in technology. So you see those kiosks at events where you can actually go and sign in yourself and things like that. You don't actually have to have contact with an attendant. You can actually do that as well through our technology. And this comes with digital or physical badge generation. So now with social distancing concerns, we don't want to be, handing people's badges or anything like that. So actually have a digital badge that's actually populated on our app. So this is great. We have all of this technology there that's implemented for social distancing. And also, when you go completely virtual now, we've got a desktop portal. So you can actually, from your desktop, sign in to the event. But then we've also got our app that we created ourselves that is equipped with push notifications, quizzes, and polls. And of course, now the conference dynamic is starting to change, right? So instead of maybe a conference that was maybe 2 to 3 days. Now we're looking at conferences that are maybe 4 months. So actually having this app has proven to be essential. Why? Because you don't necessarily have to sign in every time you want to, communicate with your attendees. That notification is popping up on their feed, whether it be like, hey guys, you know what? We're actually having a networking group at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Please join. Just like that, it's just popping up on the actual cell phone of all of your attendees. But we have both, for those who want to use the desktop, maybe they don't want to use their screen, their eyes are getting tired, they can of course just use the desktop as well. Finally, as I mentioned before, we've got automatic credit and attendance tracking and so much more. The last slide, which has my contact information on it, I really want to talk about our difference. So really, I believe our difference is rooted in our longevity and our commitment to technology. For all of these years, we've really been improving our product offerings for the event community. We really try to understand the needs of our event organizers. And our product has been crafted not only with our clients in mind, but we actually actively listen. So being a technology company, we've got our developers in-house, right? So we actually have conversations after I listen to my clients say, hey, this isn't working out, or this is great. Can you actually listen to our customers' pain points and use innovative technology to solve these issues. So feel free to contact me for a free consultation where we can talk more about this and we can see if we are a good fit. We're also offering our attendee app for free for 30 days after this Techsy talk. So feel free to contact me and we can get started. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much. If you guys do have questions, again, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. We'll try to get to as many as possible. I really liked, and I saw some other people commenting about the digital badges. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works?
Sure. So as soon as you, in a hybrid event, you will be able to generate digital badges for your entire attendee base. So that will show up on the app, or actually you can in the desktop portal, we have an option to generate your own badge. So if somebody wanted to pre-print their badge at home, they could do that, or have it on their app on their cell phone. So
Okay,
it's
perfect.
just there automatically.
And let's talk about scalability too. How many people, like how many sessions could happen where we can track the attendance and all this credit tracking? I know that, again, that's something I get a lot of questions about. How big can this go?
So as big as you'd like, because we've been doing it for so many years, this is, what we're really, really good at. We've been able to scale it.
Awesome. And then what about the question everyone wants to know, pricing? How does it work?
So that will all depend on your event size. It will depend on how much support that you will need and so forth. But we're not a feature-based company. So, I talked about registration, marketing tools, the attendance tracking, and so forth. You get all of that. But the only thing we're concerned about is how much support we're giving to you. So, if you have a 20-person conference and if you have a 20,000 person conference, then that pricing will be different.
Okay. Now, Cameron wants to know, how do the breakouts look and feel? Are they kind of like Zoom? Is it a similar experience? Is it different? How does it look?
So how it looks is basically you'll have your attendee desktop portal where your attendees get to sign in, and then they have the option to click on any breakout they want to go in. Then the video is embedded into the actual desktop portal. So you're not going outside with our Zoom integration. But if you use us, you're getting the same look and feel. If you use YouTube, you're getting the same look and feel. Everything's in the actual the portal.
Got it. Okay. So let me just do a quick little scan. Sometimes these comments go by so fast. I'm seeing lots of comments about data and analytics. I know Simone said game changer when you were talking about tracking the attendance automatically. And then Someone said reducing planner stress. Yes, please. I'm not seeing a lot of questions though, so let me just do one more scan. I think that's it. We did, however, get to hear your sound, so it was only just for a few seconds that I think it was a little quieter. But thank you so much for sharing your platform with us. This is your contact information, right, for people who want to learn more. I also saw in the comments a link. So if, again, you want to kind of check in, you can click on that link and learn more about Enginerica and how it could work for your events.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. I appreciate it. And don't forget to check out our podcast with Liz. We're really excited about that.
Yes, please share that link. I'll be sure to share it on my channels as well. Thank you again for including me on that.
Thank
All right, Rachel. All right. So I won't say all right, folks, because I just brought up the fact that I say that way too much. We are going to our last presentation of the day. And this is definitely one you don't want to miss. Glisser is a really cool company that I have really been able to kind of watch grow over the years. I'm very excited to have them talk today about their virtual solutions. Megan Carey is here from Glisser. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Liz, great to see you again.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. So I want to let you kind of take it from here. I know you're going to do a mix of sharing your slides and then just let me know when you want to switch over to your screen. I'll be kind of orchestrating it all back here.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, Liz, when you said that, it's been a number of years since I was sitting back a house at your one of your Texty Talk events. And I feel like we've all come a long way since then. And really, when I think of Glisser and really the evolution of our product, I don't even know if we're the same product we were, 3-4 years ago when we last did that in Midtown Manhattan there. But well, everyone on the line, I know I'm kind of the last one here today, so I guess we'll go with the save the best for last. And happy to take you through a little bit about Glisser and what we're all about. So Glisser, if you've not heard of us before, we were, should I say, really known in the audience engagement space. That was very much fundamentally what our product was all about, was in-room engagement. And we focus very much on kind of the live and the in-person experience. Our product was very much born and brought into the business to solve problems within big events where everything was just a one-way lecture and not really a two-way conversation. And so company's been around since 2014. We have teams here in New York City, which is where I sit, a team in Portland as well, and our headquarters, which is based out of London. And it's funny, I think in our current time, I can certainly tell you that even within just the 3 offices that we have globally, we're all in very, very different places. Last week I got a FaceTime call a little late in the day from some of our friends over in the London office as the team was getting together for the first time. Whereas I, on the other hand, don't get to leave the house except for to walk the dog here in Brooklyn. So I think we're all sort of in this situation where there's a lot of uncertainty, and a couple of months from now, one location could be different from another. And so what Glisser is really here to say is one big theme, and that is hybrid is the way of the future. And that's very much where we position ourselves. And I'll give you a little background on how we came to the hybrid event space pre-COVID, because actually this is something we've been working on for a couple of years. So again, born in that kind of in-person event space and working on engagement. And then from there, we really built out the product over the years. And there was very much a focus not just on in-room engagement, but also content sharing, analytics. And at the end of the day, something that was just continuously built, improved, and evolving based on what the audience wants. And that's really the core of our product, which is something to cater to the audience experience and making that experience as good as possible. So a few details that are probably worth noting. We're web-based, so nothing to download or install. And the way that it works is Glisser is very much that hybrid event platform. And the way that we did that was by bringing in third-party video feeds. And that's something we first did in 2017, where we were able to start embedding third-party video feeds into our platform. And our logic there is very much to be video agnostic, right? We're not the player. We're not the webinar tool. I imagine just about everybody on the line here has more video and web conferencing tools than they know what to do with. Our suggestion here is to not go out and go spend a bunch of money on something brand new that you've never used. We're here to tell you that we can help take the tech that you've already got and make it a bit better. And by better, I mean the audience experience. And that's what we really focus on. So Liz, let's take it a slide forward here. And I'm on the hybrid is the world of tomorrow. And again, I think this is a conversation you're hearing us at Glisser have day in and day out, which is we really believe hybrid will continue. And it's interesting, having worked very much in the live event space for a number of years. I'd say most planners or organizers, and I imagine most folks on the phone, probably had some type of virtual strategy in the back of their minds, and some were a little farther along on it than others. But the reality of the situation is, it was just never the top of the to-do list. It was never the priority. And when speaking to people, we very much found that there were two key reasons for that. One, monetization, going out and finding a monetization strategy to actually drive revenue through these virtual and or hybrid events. And two, I kind of bucket it to that fear of change, having to go out and purchase or review different technology to be able to execute on these events. Well, hello, March, and here comes COVID, and every one of us have been forced to solve those two problems. It went from something that we wanted to do to something that we had to do. And I think by planners having solved for that problem, which is now we know how to run these events from a production standpoint, from a technology standpoint, how to create a nice audience experience. And we've also learned how to make them either a revenue stream or make them a better educational experience, depending on what your event goal is. It's going to stay. And it'll stay because people have solved for those problems. It will stay because the government and certainly in some places are going to make us run events in a way that's a bit different from the past. And also, I think as an attendee, we've all gotten a little more comfortable attending these type of events from home. And we can start to spot the ones that are better and focused on us as attendees. So with that all being said, it's here to stay. And we really much believe that, again, as a tool that's been tested in some of the most complex and high pressure situations out there, to having been 3 years ahead of the hybrid sort of curve or virtual curve, it put us in a unique position to very much support our clients in this situation. And so, what do we mean by support our clients in this situation? And Liz, let's take it to the next slide here. This is usually the place in our PowerPoint deck here where we throw that logo slide in there with a bunch of big brands that we all know. We tossed it because we ultimately decided that I don't think that you guys care what some of our other clients need. You care what you need. So we ditched it and we decided to sort of focus on this. And these are a list of questions that, of course, tie back to things that Glisser does and does well. But really, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, I think there's absolutely a conversation to be had. Are you trying to engage that virtual audience? Do you want your speakers, so not just you as a brand, but do you want your speakers to be able to engage with them? What about data? Do we want something a little bit more than an Excel sheet that tells us how many attendees we had and how many minutes they sat with their web browser open? Are you running concurrent sessions? Do you need that event structure where the attendee can come in and move from place to place? Do you have a content-focused session? Maybe it's educational. Maybe it's around CE credits. Whatever it may be, but you have content that you're trying to share. Do you have an internal team that needs to collaborate, whether it be on an event or maybe it's even within a training department? Is branding important to you? And you're looking to work with a team that's a bit ahead of the curve here. Again, being in kind of the hybrid space for a couple of years, we like to think of ourselves as a bit ahead of it and really not just trying to be your Band-Aid solution. Yes, we absolutely can partner with you to pull off an amazing virtual event. We can partner with you to do that in-person event someday in 2045 when we're allowed to do them again. But probably here in the interim, it's very much going to be about hybrid and really looking for a solution that as things change, you have a solution that can change with you and pivot with you. And I know, Liz, as she prepared this, asked a number of us some questions to come in and be prepared to speak about today. And here at Glisser, we're not so great at following all the rules on those instructions. But one of the questions did stick out to me, which is, what kind of sets you apart or what kind of event are you really good for? And I would say the event that we're really good for is the one that hasn't figured out exactly what they're going to do because they don't know what the situation is going to be. And I think that we can come in and be that sort of short-term and long-term solution versus just a Band-Aid. So we'll move it on here to the next slide. So now we've talked a little bit about the kind of clients we're working with and the problems we're trying to solve. Let's talk about some of the ways that we're doing that. And we really like to bucket this in three core areas from a feature standpoint. So engagement, and again, engagement with your brand, in utilizing different platforms that you've already got in-house. There are 10 of them that we currently support. And yes, you're going to ask if Zoom is one of them. It indeed is. Having that Q&A so you can create that back and forth. Getting live polling, quizzing, gamification, and surveys up and running and actually a part of your event structure, not some email you're sending out 3 days later. We've done some cool things in the past couple of months with live translation, so speaker audio translated in real time into the language of the attendee's choice. Next, think about retention. How in the world do we keep people in their seats from 9 a.m. until 2 or 3 in the afternoon? And I think you really have to, as you plan out your event, think about different ways to do that. Have break rooms, have sponsor rooms, have videos that are pre-recorded and playing, create some networking. There are a lot of things you can do to keep people in your event all day, even in a virtual experience. And then from the interaction standpoint, You know, things like being able to take part in the Twitter feed. We do some really cool scoring so you can actually know who were your most engaged participants. And so there's different ways from a feature standpoint that you can engage people, retain them throughout your event, and give them the opportunity to interact with you. And those are the things we're very focused on. So Liz, let's take it here to our next slide. And so, you know, of course we get asked the question, and I know Liz had asked us to answer this one as well, but what are some of the things that set you apart? So we just, you know, we talked about the big one, which is, I think, flexibility, right? And being able to work with you regardless of the scenario, even if you change things a week or 2 weeks ahead of time. You know, second again was the themes being engagement, retention, and interaction. But then last are some of the other things that stand out. If you're really looking for enterprise grade security, Glisser is ISO 27001 certified. That's really a big one. Being able to integrate into the CRMs like HubSpot and Salesforce that you're already using. Analytics that you can export in 3, 4, 5 different ways so that the different members of your team who prefer data consumed in a different way have that opportunity. Creating an environment for team collaboration. You know, imagine your training team. You're within a large enterprise or corporate structure, and you have that design team that's doing all the training collateral. Being able to do that at the team level and then share it with the people executing the trainers or executing the training. So you have a lot of different opportunities there. So with that being said, and I'm gonna go to my last slide here, which does have the contact information on it. But just with the last 2 minutes or so here, I am going to quickly screen share and show you the Glisser experience. So again, you can reach us at glisser.com, or I'm at megan@glisser.com. But what I've just got up here on the screen share is the Glisser audience experience. And I think this is the most important thing for anyone to see. You don't have to remember a darn thing I said in any of my slides, other than Liz is great. But otherwise, this is the audience experience. What are my attendees going to experience? And a fun fact, I didn't know we could screen share here today, so I actually put this together while I was waiting for the last speaker to finish. The only reason I say that is, 1, forgive me if I've made a boo-boo, and 2, that's how easy it is to actually set this thing up. So you can see here the attendee is brought into a branded experience. We've got the Texty Talk logo, Brooklyn background. You can name the event. You can allow people to sign in with information such as their email address that follows them throughout the event. Upon signing in, we can hit them with a welcome video. Now, I just grabbed a good old Glisser marketing video, but it can be anything you want that you have either on Vimeo or YouTube. So you can welcome people to your event. Maybe you want to give them instruction. This is actually just something we added 2 weeks ago. We're in sprints like you couldn't believe right now, consistently, weekly, rolling out new things that make our virtual event that much better. And then once I'm into the event structure, you can see here, I can go through the sessions that are currently live. What happens if I have multiple tracks and sessions running concurrently? What about some topics like speaker bios or sponsor information so that you can monetize these events? And of course, your obvious, I can search it by date or by name. But once as an attendee, I know what I want to do. I want to go to this 9 o'clock session right here, and I'm in. This is the Glisser audience experience. You know, we can have a video embedded and rolling right here front and center. It can be live or pre-recorded on any one of the 10 platforms we support. If I scroll down, you can see here I have the opportunity to view the logo. Maybe I want to go to the Texty Talk website. Maybe I want to connect with Liz on LinkedIn. Or below that, heck, I'm in session 2A. Let's go to session 2B. Or maybe I want to learn a little bit about the speaker. So there's a lot of ways that you can customize this page all within one seamless experience. And on the right-hand side, this is your typical Glisser interactive experience. And this will look familiar to anybody on the phone who's used Glisser in the past. This is what we call the in-room experience with live slide sharing, Q&A, the ability for your attendees to take notes, the ability for them to download the content immediately upon the speaker finishing their session. And again, I can go to those related links or related sessions. So that's just a quick 2 or 3 minute tour of the Glisser event structure. And with that, Liz, I suppose I'm nearing the end of my 10 minutes. I usually go a little bit too long. So I'd love to hear what questions we've got.
Awesome. Well, I think that's quite impressive that you put all that together in, how long would you say?
I think I started at 7 minutes after 5. So I went pretty quick.
Yeah, about 10 minutes then, maybe 15 minutes. So that's great to know that you can do that. So the Glisser that you mentioned 3 or 4 years ago that was at Texty Talk Live was really what's now in that upper right-hand corner, right?
Yeah.
And now
we grew up.
You have definitely grown up. I'm curious, a few questions on my own. I have a few questions, and then there are a few questions as well. Can people expand that top right corner in a way to like really interact with the Q&A and all of that stuff? I assume yes.
Yeah, you have a number of different options. So as the person setting this up, I got to decide on my layout, right? So I decided I want video front and center, slides in the top right. But as an attendee, I can go in and I can zoom in and out on the slides. I can actually zoom in and zoom out on the video if I'd like. And then I get to navigate through this right-hand panel. And then when polling appears, it actually overtakes the screen so that it sort of forces the attendee to give you the data you're looking for, and then it brings them back into the experience.
That's awesome. Now, Cameron wants to know the tracking will work seamlessly even with Zoom integrations or the other platforms that you mentioned you integrate with?
Yes, because when I first signed in, I was signing into Glisser. So when you first saw me on that landing page where it said Texi Talk and I signed in with Megan at Glisser.com, that's what we call your ID in Glisser. And I had mine set to be email address, but it could be email, it could be name, it could be any unique ID you want. And if you're capturing what we call that individual level data, it follows that attendee through the event. So you know everything they did down to what questions they asked and how they responded to polls. And you even get a score on a scale of 1 to 100 for every single attendee telling you how engaged they were with you.
Have you ever seen someone do, like personalized gifting or something related to that? That's an idea I have in case no one else has done it. So if, the people who score 100, the people who are really engaged, that's a great sign, I would say, for sponsors in terms of who they want to connect with.
Yeah, so I think it's a great idea. So, when we talk about gamification within the Glisser system, we have a lottery system, we have a leaderboard, but when anybody ever asks me, what are the gamification features? I do always say there's a third one, and that is that engagement score, because absolutely. Why not use that score to motivate people? And then there's the internal business use. What if, as a salesperson, let me tell you, when I run a Glisser webinar, the very first thing I do is I log out of my Glisser presenter view, I hop right into the data, and I want to go see who engaged most with me, because from a sales and marketing perspective, it's a lead score.
Yeah. That's great. Now, a Facebook user wants to know, do attendees have live video if they wanted to interact for Q&A as compared to the text version that you showed us in your sample?
Yeah, great question. So in that component you see over there to the right, that is sort of the text Q&A within Glisser. If you wanted to facilitate a live Q&A that's sort of on the audio component, that's 100% based on the tool that you're embedding into Glisser. So I just have a YouTube video in here because we're already on a live feed, but I could just as easily have put in Zoom or BlueJeans or one of the tools that we support that allows for two-way audio, and in which case you could do it that way.
Perfect. Now the question everyone wants to know, what's the price range, or how does this work from a pricing standpoint?
Sure. I always love to address the price question because we try and make it as straightforward as possible. We have two licensing models, one per event, two annual licensing. The per event model looks at what I call the complexity of the event. How many days, how many attendees, how many concurrent tracks. It starts at $1,500 and it increases based on those variables. You can assume a typical event will cost you a few $1,000s, and then there are some additional support options should you need them. Annual licensing starts at $15,000 a year. We don't care how many events you're running a year. In that scenario, it's about how many people in your team need their own Glisser license and how large are your events. So with a couple of quick questions, we can get people pretty directly to a price quote.
Awesome. Okay, one more question here. I may have missed this, but can the host boost engagement with push notifications or polls, suggestions? How can we get people to interact more?
Yeah, perfect. So the big one there is polling. So we absolutely have polling. There's multiple choice polling, image pickers, star ratings. You can do free text. You can do word clouds. And what we like about that is when the polls appear, it ultimately kind of takes over the full screen here so that it's sort of prompting them to take part in the poll. So that's absolutely the way we would recommend to really sort of push that engagement. And then not to be lost in that is the content sharing. I mean, what's one of the most common questions at the end of a presentation? Hey, can I have your slides? So giving people that ability in real time to interact with the slides, not only view them, but take notes on them and download them immediately creates a different level of interaction that I don't think people are always thinking about.
Now, I have a personal question. One of my favorite features was, and not everyone loved this feature from a speaker perspective, but the ability to vote slides up or down in real time for speakers to kind of see, hey, this is content people love or people are bored out of their minds. Is that still a feature?
Yes, it absolutely is. We've changed where it happens. It used to actually say likes, and now if you look in the top right-hand corner, it's a heart. So it's a big pink heart there.
Got it.
People seem to figure out what that meant a little quicker, but it's another data point, right? So as someone who is constantly, Liz, you can appreciate that. So you're always out there, you're speaking and you're presenting, and you think you know what's working or not. But then again, having that data point, which is I think why you valued it, to actually see what slides do people like, what content did they like, hopefully helps you plan going forward.
Yeah. And it's the down I think people don't ever want to see, but I think that is valuable information as well when people are like, this is not that interesting.
Yeah, certainly.
Never as the speaker, but one more question. What kind of support do you offer for organizers in terms of kind of setting all this up and,
Sure. So we have, with any license within Glisser, you absolutely have just onboarding and training to whatever extent you need it. We then do offer sort of varying levels. So we can do what we call the event build, which is where you actually bring Glisser in to do the creation of your event within the Glisser system. So setting it up, creating the agenda, and doing all of that. We also have sort of another level, which is that dedicated support. So actually having someone on the Glisser team who's available for you in the days leading up and during the event, as if they were an extended member of your team. And I'll give everybody a little bit of sneak peek of something here to come at Glisser, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this because we haven't quite revealed it yet. But there's a very good chance that here at Glisser, we're going to roll out what we're calling an event services team. So we're going to take it a step further. We recognize that this is new and we are all trying to figure it out, and we don't all have a lot of time to do it. So we here at Glisser want to go beyond just offering you the technology and sort of the basic support, and really incorporate a part of our team, a department with our team, and they are the event experts. These are the AV teams, the planners who've been doing it for 20 years, who can help come in, consult, help actually you build out that event. So we're really looking to take it the next step further in terms of how we support our clients, which is more of more around strategy and consulting beyond just here's our tech and we're going to teach you how to use it.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. I think those are all the questions. I see Ryan from your team is also answering some. So if I missed anything, I'm sure he will take care of it. But thank you so much for sharing the evolution of Glisser. Really, really cool technology. I've always loved what you guys do. So I love the next level you've taken it to over the last few years.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you. That wraps up our incredible day together. I have seen so many different virtual platforms over the course of the last few months. Of course, I had seen some long before, but I really want to thank all of you who have listened from the very beginning all the way to the end. I know it's been 2.5 hours of your time, almost 3 hours of your time. But as one person points out, it's still a huge time saver because you didn't have to sit through 8 hours of different demos. There were some amazing companies who presented today, and I do hope you will take the time to contact them, sit through longer demos, ask your questions. Everyone that has participated is really, really open to being contacted through LinkedIn or through any other platform that they shared their contact information for, at least. Don't go stalking them, but definitely contact them. For those of you who have listened through or you're watching the recording, good news, there will be the recording available in several different places. So if you are wanting to kind of go back and find some other information, here's how you do it. The first will be this video that you're watching streaming in the Facebook group will continue to live. And I did see some comments about whether they can go back on the chat. We've had, I think, over 500 comments on this chat. So yes, that will all still be here. If you click on the left of the Facebook group on the videos tab, you'll see the video there. In addition to that, I'm going to kind of chop up the video in good old style so that you can see individual demos without having to fast forward through all of the content. We will put all of those on the Texie Talk website, and I will also be sending an email. So if you're on our newsletter, that would be a great place to find it. That will go out very soon as well. And then thank you again. So not only to the sponsors who participated today and presented, because of course they need to get the word out about all the cool stuff that they're doing. And I think from a planner perspective, it's really easy to see when you see them back to back where they shine in different areas. They're all really cool platforms, but they serve you in different ways. But also to all of you who are watching, I'm really excited to have the Texie Talk brand back. We are planning Texie Talk Live for late October. We are bringing that back in a virtual format this year. So in case you have missed that, definitely stay tuned to TexieTalk.com and the Texie Talk Facebook group, Texie Talk LinkedIn group, all of those exciting places. We will continue to do events. We also are working on another showcase for September, all around engagement for virtual events. So this was very much the platforms and obviously some great engagement in that. We also are going to be doing this showcase in September. That's more kind of the add-ons, the other things you might want to consider to make your virtual events to the next level. So all of this is available at texitalk.com/upcoming events. Thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in and are sharing all of your great comments. I see someone wants a Lucas cameo. That's my son, but he is, I think, napping, thank God, or eating or something. But thank you all for participating, and we'll make sure you guys get all of this content as soon as possible so you can continue to recommend the best platforms for your clients. All right. Have a great day, everyone. And we will see you in the internet world very soon. Take care.